Chapter 68. Yu slightly narrows his eyes when he sees the two rushing towards him. Rays of cold light shoot out from his eyes. Suddenly, Yu slightly raises the corners of his mouth. At the same time, he moves like the wind and directly rushes towards the other direction extremely fast. Yu doesn't want to fight at this moment. Instead, he rushes towards the end of the valley. East Xiang and North Xiang become furious at once. Don't go! Because of the death of two brothers, East Xiang and North Xiang hate Yu to the core. With a roar, they also chase after Yu. Father, you must succeed. The reason why Yu doesn't want to fight is because he can't concentrate on the fight at the moment. The third thunderbolt has already struck down. Yu moves extremely fast. At the same time, he pays attention to Qinda with his holy sense. Qinda's body is surrounded by dragon-shaped energy. He is holding a dark red sword, a middle-grade holy weapon. A middle-grade holy weapon is extremely powerful. In the past, Fenjiazi was able to pass through the 4-9 heavenly tribulation with a low-grade holy weapon. Of course, that was with the help of his Xiozhen sect. Qinda raises his head and looks at the purple thunderbolt. The dark red sword in his hand bursts out rays of dazzling light. Boom! The thunderbolt strikes down from above. Ha! Qinda lifts the dark red sword to resist. At the same time, he injects streams of Xiantian energy into the sword. The purple thunderbolt strikes the dark red sword, causing it to tremble continuously. However, this middle-grade holy weapon is extremely tough. The thunderbolt of the 4-9 heavenly tribulation can't break it. In just a moment, the purple thunderbolt disappears. Only a few electric snakes are moving around the dark red sword. Qinda's face is slightly pale. Haha, with this middle-grade holy weapon, it's really much easier to pass through the 4-9 heavenly tribulation. Now Qinda starts to feel confident. He is also very confident about the last thunderbolt. The energy in his body surges out, and the energy on the sword becomes even more dazzling. Yu's hanging heart also settles down. His father has finally passed through the third thunderbolt safely. Bastard, don't run away if you have the ability. East Xiang and North Xiang were so angry that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They kept chasing after Yu. However, in terms of body movement, Yu, who had taken off all the weights, was even faster than a Xiantian full circle expert. Haha, you two clowns eat my fist. Yu, who was originally running at top speed, suddenly turned around. His two fists were like swimming dragons, smashing towards the two. The energy in East Xiang and North Xiang's bodies had already surged to the extreme. Seeing that Yu had stopped running away, they were overjoyed. The two of them also summoned up their energy and threw a punch at Yu. Both of them had cultivated for over 100 years. If they joined hands, how strong would their attack be? Yu's fists collided with East Xiang's and West Xiang's fists. Bang! The violent collision even caused a layer of faint but visible ripples to be emitted in the air. Yu's body suddenly flies up. At the same time, all the muscles in his entire body vibrate for a while. Thanks to Yu's strong control over his body, more than half of the violent impact force of East Xiang and West Xiang's collision was neutralized. The remaining part, to Yu's body, is basically nothing. East Xiang and North Xiang exchanged a glance, their eyes full of bloodthirsty excitement. They could feel the strength of their opponent. However, judging from the fight just now, although the opponent in front of them could deal with one of them, once the two brothers joined hands, Yu would be no match for them. Kill! East Xiang and North Xiang turned into two bolts of lightning and rushed towards Yu with boundless hostility. Yu, however, gives a cold laugh. After practicing the third trans-heaven diagram, not only has Yu produced purple Xiantian energy, that purple Xiantian energy has also transformed his body once more. Now his body's defensive power has reached a level where it is not afraid of ordinary black iron weapons. In the fight just now, he only used his physical energy. Like a breeze, Yu swayed his body and easily avoided the two men. First Elder, you and the others deal with that self-cultivator. I can deal with these two old guys alone. Yu's voice resounded in the whole valley. Hearing this, the blue-clothed elder immediately laughed and said, Mr. Lu Xing, the four directions killing gods are famous. You've killed two of them. Since you're interested in the remaining two, I'll leave them to you. Boys, double illusion 5 elements formation. Along with the blue-clothed elders shout, the 5 Skynet killers and the 5 secret arrow experts unexpectedly faced each other one-on-one. The 5 secret arrow experts have middle-grade holy daggers, but the 5 Skynet killers don't have any. However, this so-called double illusion 5 elements formation is an advanced version of the 5 elements formation. 10 people are surrounding Wu Xing, but only 5 of them are fighting Wu Xing at the same time. The 5 Skynet killers and the 5 secret arrow experts exchange their order of attack. Sometimes 3 secret arrow experts and 2 Skynet killers attack at the same time. Sometimes 2 secret arrow experts and 3 Skynet killers attack at the same time. In short, there are always 5 people attacking at the same time. Ah, so many middle-grade holy weapons. Wu Xing is extremely furious. He can only rely on his holy sense and his extremely fast body maneuvering skill to dodge non-stop. What angers him the most is that these 10 people are simply not afraid of death. Even if they are going to die, they will still stab their middle-grade holy weapons into his vital parts. At this moment, there are 3 big battlefields in the valley. One is Qinyu against East Xiang and North Xiang. The other is Zionist Wu Xing against the 5 secret arrow experts and the 5 Skynet experts. The other is Fenjiuzi, who has a middle-grade holy weapon, and Wu Da, who has a low-grade holy weapon. This third battlefield is the most imposing one. Fenjiuzi and Wu Da are fighting. Rumbling noises are heard unceasingly. Mountain rocks are shattered and stone walls collapse. However, Elder Blue-clad and Goexian are not far from Zionist Wu Xing, ready to launch a sneak attack at any moment. Old fellas, get ready to die, Qinyu says with a cold laugh. Shameless boasting, East Xiang says with a cold laugh. East Xiang and North Xiang turn into 2 beams of light and charge at Qinyu side by side. A loud shout is heard. Mr. Lu Xing, I'm coming to help you. Gumin rushes directly at North Xiang like a flash of lightning. In order to avoid being attacked from the front and the back, East Xiang and North Xiang immediately separate. Holding a weapon, North Xiang confronts Gumin directly, while East Xiang continues to attack Qinyu. Qinyu slightly frowns. Isn't this Gumin meddling in other people's business? However, since Gumin has come to help him, Qinyu can't say anything. Qinyu forms a claw with his hand. Purple internal energy starts to circulate. For a moment, Qinyu's right hand becomes as sparkling and translucent as a purple jade. It cuts through the air and grabs East Xiang directly. Seeing Qinyu's purple jade-like right hand, East Xiang immediately knows that the situation is bad. This brat was hiding his strength just now. East Xiang's eyes pop out of his head. However, it is too late. Qinyu's right claw moves like a flash of lightning. Its trajectory is erratic, but it doesn't cause any sound of wind. In an instant, it has arrived in front of East Xiang. Crack. A sound of bones breaking is heard. Qinyu's right claw moves erratically. It unexpectedly wraps around East Xiang's right hand and directly crushes East Xiang's right wrist. East Xiang only sees a purple afterimage, then his wrist hurts terribly. At the same time, his consciousness also gradually fades away. Just a moment ago, Qinyu continuously crushed East Xiang's right wrist. He also directly pierced East Xiang's throat with his finger force. His speed is so fast that East Xiang only sees a purple afterimage. Sure enough, this purple Sciention internal energy is very mysterious. Not only can it attack outside the body like ordinary Sciention internal energy, it can also fuse with the muscles and increase my speed again. At the moment, a hint of excitement appears on Qinyu's face. Ah! A miserable cry and a muffled groan are heard. North Xiang screams miserably and falls to the ground. Gumin, however, is sent flying because he is seriously injured. Gumin's body flies up into the sky then falls down. Coincidentally, Gumin just happens to fall in Qinda's position. At the moment, Qinda is preparing to receive the last thunderbolt. The tribulation cloud is rolling crazily. Its aura is frighteningly strong. Obviously, the fourth thunderbolt is about to strike. Manager Gu, seeing that Gumin is seriously injured, Chinda cannot help feeling concerned. He reaches out to support Gumin's falling body. Your Highness, I am fine. Gumin turns his head and says to Chinda. At the moment, Gumin's face is deathly pale, and his breathing is weak. Suddenly Pung. Chinda's face suddenly turns deathly pale. A mouthful of blood spurts out as if it is free water. Everybody is stupefied by this scene. Gumin hits Chinda's abdomen with a heavy palm strike. Haha. Chinda, let's see whether you'll die or not this time. Gumin dodges in a flash. His face is full of excitement. At the same instant, North Xiang, who has been screaming miserably and falling to the ground, also stands up. At the moment he is also extremely excited. Min, after 100 years of infiltration, you've really made a great contribution today. North Xiang laughs out loud. Seeing this scene, Qin Yu's heartstrings become completely taut. Father! He wants to shout loudly, but he is unable to do so. He can only worry about his father in his heart. At the same time, Qin Yu looks at Gumin and North Xiang. His eyes are filled with killing intent. Gumin, you scoundrel! Elder Blueclad also shouts furiously. Chinda looks at Gumin and gives a frustrated smile. Gumin! This time I chose the Green Lotus Mountain Range to undergo the tribulation. Only a few people knew about it, but Xiang Guang still found out, and even sent 2 Shangxian. At that time I suspected there was a mole. However, of the few people who knew about it, you, Blueclad, Su Yuan, and the others were the ones I trusted the most. I couldn't believe any one of them was a mole. But, Chinda sighs. Suddenly, the tribulation clouds in the dark red sky give off bursts of rumbling noises. The air in the sky seems to be pressed down by something. In the blink of an eye, the entire pressure increases to a new level. Everybody knows that the 4th heavenly thunderbolt is about to strike. But now, Chinda has been seriously injured. Chapter 69. Although the 4th sky thunder is about to strike, Qin Yu looks at the blood on the corner of his mouth that has not been wiped off. Looking at his father's pale face, Qin Yu feels all the blood in his body is burning, and his eyes gradually turn red. A murderous intent is constantly hovering in the bottom of his heart. This time, after accepting this mission, when he discovered that the target of the mission was, as he had guessed, his father, Qin Yu was extremely happy. He had already made up his mind that no matter what, he would make sure that his father would not be disturbed in any way. But now, father is seriously injured, but the most powerful 4th sky thunder is about to strike. What should I do? What should I do? Qin Yu is extremely anxious. He is full of guilt. Facing the 4th sky thunder while seriously injured, the probability of him surviving it is too low. However, others cannot help him to pass the tribulation. It's all my fault. If I had killed North Xiang earlier, Gumin would not have had the chance to get close to father by pretending to be seriously injured. Although Qin Yu is not to blame, Qin Yu still blames himself very much in his heart. He had made up his mind that no matter what, he would make sure that his father would not be disturbed by anyone. However, now his father has been seriously injured by someone else. You all deserve to die. All of you deserve to die. Qin Yu glances at North Xiang and Gumin, his eyes flashing with murderous intent. Qin Yu clenches his fists. The purple Xiantian true qi in his body goes crazy and merges with his whole body. Qin Yu's strong body also absorbs this Xiantian true qi. His whole body seems to be formed by purple jade. He suddenly bursts out the most powerful purple Xiantian true qi, and his whole body is completely wrapped in purple light. Whiz! A crazy and sharp whistling sound rises. A purple light in shadow forms a straight line and hits North Xiang. North Xiang sees this purple light in shadow and feels its aura. He is sure that this purple light in shadow is Qin Yu, the one who killed his 3 brothers. North Xiang's eyes are filled with madness. This mission has been completed. He does not believe that Chinda can survive the 4th sky thunder after being seriously injured. Even if North Xiang escapes alive, he will be in great pain because of the death of his 3 brothers. Die together. Seeing Qin Yu dashing towards him, North Xiang let out a wild roar. At the same time, the raging Xiantian Jinqi inside his body was completely detonated in accordance with the last move of the conqueror's heaven-defying skill. Like a bomb, All the power inside North Xiang, who had reached the peak of the Xiantian realm, was completely detonated in a flash. At the same time, Qin Yu fiercely crashed into North Xiang's body like a meteor. It was as easy as crushing dry weeds. Die! Qin Yu gritted his teeth. He didn't use his fists or feet at all. Instead, he raised his power to the highest level. Purple true qi fused with his body and formed a protective aura around his body. Then, he used himself as a meteorite to hit North Xiang at the fastest speed. He wanted to smash North Xiang to death. Bang! The moment North Xiang's entire body collides with Qin Yu, it explodes. Chunks of flesh fly everywhere, and blood even scatter in the air. However, Qin Yu's entire body pierces through North Xiang's body like a purple meteor in an instant. Everyone was stunned. Could a murderer be killed by a collision like this? All of them are looking at Qin Yu under the purple silhouette. In their eyes, this mysterious assassin Lu Xing's offense is really too terrifying. Moreover, he was able to kill a peak Xiantian expert just by ramming into him. Self-explosion, self-explosion. Unfortunately, the strength of my body is beyond your imagination. There was a cold smile on the corners of Qin Yu's mouth. North Xiang's self-explosion was powerful, and other Xiantian experts would have definitely died. Unfortunately, Qin Yu was an unprecedented Xiantian external expert. The strength of a Xiantian external expert's body was far beyond anyone's imagination. Moreover, after the continuous transformation of the 3 trans-heaven diagrams, the strength of his body alone was close to that of an ordinary Xiantian weapon. Moreover, he had fused with the miraculous purple Xiantian Jinqi and his protective aura. Even a Xiantian weapon wouldn't be able to break Qin Yu's defense. Gumin, you are unforgivable. Qin Yu stared at Gumin again. Being stared at by Qin Yu, Gumin felt a bit scared. Then he said with a smile, Mr. Lu Xing, you're just a killer. Why do you want to risk your life for this Qinda? Isn't your mission reward just a high-grade Xiantian weapon? As long as you help me deal with them, His Majesty will give you more rewards. Boom! A terrifying thunderclap is heard. The last thunderbolt, the 4th thunderbolt, suddenly shoots out from the tribulation cloud like a huge purple dragon and strikes straight down. Everyone, including Qin Yu, stops attacking in an instant. They all look at Qinda. End of B5C9. Qinda shouted in a low voice, and his face suddenly turned red. Suddenly, a sky-shaking roar of a dragon resounded from Qinda's body. A golden dragon, which was almost materialized, suddenly left Qinda's body. It soared into the sky and brazenly collided with the 4th heavenly thunder. Boom! The purple thunderbolt and the golden chi-strength dragon collided with each other. A violent force wreaked havoc. In just a moment, the golden chi-strength dragon dissipated, and the purple thunderbolt was also weakened by more than half. However, the remaining purple thunderbolt still struck down. Bang! The dark red longsword pointed to the sky and directly faced the purple thunderbolt. The thunderbolt directly struck the dark red longsword, and the dark red longsword also emitted a dazzling light. Qinda's complexion suddenly became deathly pale, and his body suddenly trembled. In just a moment, the power of the thunderbolt actually dissipated. Then Qinda's whole body collapsed on the ground. Did he succeed? Qin Yu was stupefied. Seeing this scene, everybody knew what it meant. Qinda succeeded in overcoming the tribulation, relying on the natural 8 diagrams formation and this middle-grade holy sword. Qinda succeeded in overcoming the tribulation, even though he was seriously injured. But seeing Qinda lying on the ground at this moment, it was obvious that he was seriously injured. The tribulation cloud in the sky slowly dissipated. The dark red sky also reverted to the starry sky of the past. A sky full of stars appeared in everybody's field of vision. Qin Yu's heart was filled with extreme joy. Even though his father was seriously injured, he still overcame the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Relying on the treasures of the Qin clan, Qin Yu could recover very quickly. Qinda would also become a Zionist very soon with Jin Dan. Gumin. Qin Yu looked at Gumin. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Gumin slightly frowned as he looked at Qinda. I didn't expect him to be the same as Shi Huang in those days. Even without a middle-grade holy weapon, I believe Qin will still be able to overcome the heavenly tribulation. Suddenly Gumin trembled. He felt a killing intent not far from him. He immediately looked over and saw that it was Qin. Thinking of how Qin killed the Four Directions killers just now, Gumin naturally knew that he was no match for him. He was resentful in his heart. If I had a middle-grade holy weapon, how could I have been afraid of this killer Lu Xing? In the past, Qin used Earbook flaming iron to forge middle-grade holy weapons. Because of the limited amount of materials, he forged a saber for Lian Yan and a long sword for himself. What was left was only 5 short sabers, which he gave to 5 subordinates of the secret arrow to form a battle formation. By contrast, Lan Yi and the others didn't have middle-grade holy weapons. Originally, there was only so much Earbook flaming iron. In the past, when Qin forged a short sword, a pair of gloves and Finjiuzi's flying sword, he used up 1/5 of it. He also used up 1/5 of it for his long sword, and 1/5 for Lian Yan's saber. The 5 short sabers used up the remaining 2/5 of it. As for Lan Yi, Gumin and the others, they didn't have any middle-grade holy weapons left. Even though Lian Yan died, his remaining middle-grade holy weapon was eventually given to Qin Feng by Qin. Haha, stupid. Qin, prepare to die. But I want to thank you for giving me a middle-grade holy weapon. Being besieged by the 5 big experts of the secret arrow and the 5 big experts of the heavenly net, Wu Xing suddenly turns his face upwards and laughs out loud. He seems to have gone mad. It seems he has thought of a trick to deal with these 10 reckless experts. Chapter 70. Being besieged by the 5 heavenly net experts and the 5 secret arrow experts, Wu Xing suddenly becomes extremely savage. 10 ants, go to hell. Cold light flashes in Wu Xing's eyes. One after another, arm-thick streams of elemental energy rush out from his body. They move in all directions like more than 10 cyan dragons. Moreover, they basically don't attack these 10 people, which makes them extremely startled. The 10 odd swimming dragons of elemental energy cover an area of more than 10 m in radius. The 10 experts are all in this area. Suddenly Wu Xing's expression becomes ferocious. He shouts wildly, "Explode! Explode! Explode!" Boom! 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 Along with Wu Xing's loud shouts, explosions rise non-stop. Those elemental energies explode completely. Even though the 10 late-stage Xiantian experts are very powerful, they are still unable to resist such a powerful explosion formed from elemental energy. Miserable cries rise. Broken limbs fly up and blood scatters. In an instant, the 10 experts who have been bothering Wu Xing just now have been killed just like that. Wu Xing has never used this kind of attack before. Even though the explosive power of this elemental energy is pretty good, an attack of this level is basically unable to break the defense of Xiationist's elemental energy. No Xiationist would use such a weak attack. Generally, they use flying swords. They concentrate their elemental energy on the flying swords and send out the strongest attack through the formation on the flying swords. Only when Wu Xing saw North Xiang explode himself, just now did he get the idea. He also uses the elemental energy inside his body to create an explosion. Elemental energy is 1 whole level higher than Xiantian energy, so its power is definitely comparable to North Xiang's explosion. Even though this explosion is not a threat to Xiationists, it is enough for Xiantian experts. Sure enough, the 10 experts have been blown to pieces. Not even an intact corpse is left. The 5 middle-grade holy short sabers also appear on the ground. 3 beams of light shoot towards them. One is Qinyu, one is Elder Blueclad, and the other is Fenjiuzi. They have all come to snatch these 5 middle-grade holy short sabers. Junior brother, hurry up. Wu's sound transmission enters Wu Xing's ears. He then sees a flying sword shoot straight at Fenjiuzi extremely fast. Fenjiuzi also uses his flying sword to block. Another powerful collision occurs. The 2 experts are once again entangled with each other. Scram! Wu Xing shouts loudly. He waves his big sleeves continuously. 5 middle-grade holy weapons are directly sucked into his hand by telekinesis. Afterwards, they are directly sucked into his storage bracelet. As for the two streaks of light that were rushing over, they were repelled by the surging true elemental energy. Qin Yu's figure flashed repeatedly, dispersing that powerful force. The blue-clothed elder's body flew backwards as traces of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. You're only mortals, yet you want to seize middle-grade holy weapons? You're simply daydreaming. Wu Xing looks at Qin Yu and the blue-clad elder with a disdainful expression. Cultivators had already surpassed ordinary mortals. They usually looked down on mortals with a condescending attitude. Naturally, they looked down on mortals. Good junior brother, well done. Haha, a middle-grade spiritual weapon. Wu De also laughs out loud. At the same time, he fights Fenjiuzi even more excitedly. Fenjiuzi, now you're only fighting me to a draw, because you're using a middle-grade holy weapon to bully my low-grade holy weapon. Wait until I refine that middle-grade holy weapon. Let's see how you'll fight me then. Boom, boom, boom. The mountain rocks shattered, the stone walls collapsed, and the explosions continued. While talking, Wu De fights Fenjiuzi at the same time. Fenjiuzi, however, says nothing with a cold face. 5 middle-grade holy weapons have been seized, so it is indeed a huge loss. The two of them fight until the sky turns dark. Senior, I'm a member of the Xiang clan. I hope you'll kill Qin, Lu Xing, and the blue-clothed elder's third brother. Gumin says with a bow. Wu Xing laughs out loud and says, Good, today I'm in a good mood. Originally I promised Xiang Guang to kill Qin. As for the other 2 ants, I'll also kill them together. At the moment, Wu Xing is extremely relaxed and carefree. He has obtained a middle-grade holy weapon. Moreover, the only cultivator on the opposing side, Fenjiuzi, has been pinned down. He, Wu Xing, is not worried at all. He can kill whoever he wants. I'll take a short saber first, then concentrate on refining it after we go back. At the moment, Wu Xing is extremely relaxed. In his eyes, the lives of Qin and the others are already in his hands, so he is not in a hurry to kill them immediately. Instead, he values the middle-grade holy weapon he has just obtained the most. Wu Xing takes out a middle-grade holy weapon short saber and immediately drips a drop of blood on it to claim ownership. Afterwards, that short saber belongs to Wu Xing. In general, if a cultivator wants to truly master a holy weapon, not only does he have to drip a drop of blood on it, he also has to refine it with his internal flame to completely control it. But now Wu Xing has no time to waste. In the valley at night, gusts of cold wind are blowing. Go to hell. Gumin suddenly hears a voice. He is greatly shocked at once. But in an instant his entire head feels a shock. Boom! Gumin's head explodes like a watermelon. A figure appears. Qin Yu looks coldly at Gumin's corpse. You! At the moment, Wu Xing has just dripped a drop of blood on the saber to claim ownership. Seeing this scene, he cannot help becoming furious. You bastard! You unexpectedly killed this old man while I was dripping a drop of blood on the saber. At the moment, Wu Xing feels both ashamed and furious. No matter what, this Gumin can be considered one of his people. Qin Yu, however, says to himself in his mind, calm down, Qin Yu, you must calm down. At the moment on the battlefield, Fenjiuzi has been completely pinned down by Wu De. It is really too difficult for him, an elder blue-clad, to kill Wu Xing. Now that Wu Xing has obtained a middle-grade holy weapon, he is even more powerful than a moment ago. However, Qin has just withstood 4 thunderbolts, so he is very seriously injured. He is sitting with legs crossed and eyes closed. The only chance. Qin Yu's eyes flash with coldness. His only chance is Qin Yu's middle-grade holy weapons, the flaming sword and the flaming gloves. The attacking power of middle-grade holy weapons is enough to break through a Zionist defense. But he only has one chance. Once Wu De discovers that he has middle-grade holy weapons, he basically won't let him get close to him. This is also the reason why Qin Yu has not used the flaming sword and the flaming gloves just now. A moment ago, it was enough for him to kill those several people without using the middle-grade holy weapons. His only trump card. Haha, go to hell, all of you. Wu Xing suddenly laughs out loud. A dark red ray of light is shot out. The light on Elder Blueclad's body then becomes dim. In an instant, Elder Blueclad falls to the ground with a loud sound. He is already dead. Facing a Zionist's attack, without a holy weapon, he basically has no power to resist. Even though the middle-grade holy weapon hasn't been refined yet, it's still a bit faster than my flying sword. Once it's refined its power, Wu Xing gives a thought, and the flying dagger he just shot out flies back to his hand. Looking at the dagger in his hand, Wu Xing is extremely excited. This guy is so powerful. One attack, only one chance. Only when I'm close to him can I use the flaming sword and the flaming gloves. Qin Yu clenches his teeth. He is not impulsive about Elder Blueclad's death. He must seize this one and only chance. If he fails, he will be done for, and his father will die for sure. Failure is not an option. East vanquishing Prince Qinda, your power can be considered extremely great in the human world. It's a pity that you'll still die in my hands. At the moment, Wu Xing is extremely complacent. He gently waves his hand and is about to shoot the dagger to kill Qinda. However, at this moment, there is no sound of wind. However, Wu Xing's holy sense has discovered Qin Yu's extremely fast-moving figure. In just a moment, Qin Yu has arrived in front of him from the distance of several tens of meters. Boom! Wu Xing waves his hand. A stream of elemental energy shoots out and explodes at the same time. However, the surface of Qin Yu's body suddenly blazes with purple light. The surface of his entire body looks like a sparkling and translucent purple jade. The explosion of elemental energy unexpectedly cannot harm him. Qin Yu restrains the excitement in his heart with difficulty. He then throws a punch at Wu Xing. Seeing Qin Yu's punch coming at him, Wu Xing's mind jolts. This guy is on the same side as Qinda. Maybe he's a secret chess piece, and also has a middle-grade holy weapon. No matter what, I can't take any risks. Thoughts flash through his mind. Die! A hint of fierceness flashes through Qin Yu's eyes. The flaming sword suddenly appears in his hand. However, before Qin Yu's flaming sword appears, Wu Xing has already started to move. By the time the flaming sword appears in Qin Yu's hand, Wu Xing has already dodged more than 10 meters away. Seeing the flaming sword appear in Qin Yu's hand, Wu Xing's eyes blaze with flames of fury. Brat, you unexpectedly plotted against me. Wu Xing is extremely furious. Luckily, he dodged at the last moment. Otherwise, thinking of that scene, Wu Xing feels a burst of lingering fear in his heart. At the same time, he becomes even more furious. The elemental energy in his body suddenly rushes into the middle-grade holy dagger. A dark red ray of light shoots from Wu Xing towards Qin Yu. Bang! Qin Yu has no other choice, so he hurriedly uses the flaming sword to block. Qin Yu's face suddenly changes color. He only feels an extremely terrifying energy coming from that dagger. That energy is sharp and has a strong tearing property. It directly attacks Qin Yu's body. Bang! Qin Yu is sent flying like a sandbag. At the same time, blood sprays out from his mouth. He then falls down powerlessly with a bang sound. Fenjiuzi, who is fighting Wuda, nevertheless notices this scene through his holy sense. He is shaken inwardly. Flaming sword, that's the flaming sword. This killer Lu Xing. Could he be Xiaoyu? No, isn't Xiaoyu practicing external techniques? How can he have internal energy? But this killer Lu Xing's aura is also very similar to Xiaoyu's. Could he really? At the moment, even though Fenjiuzi is suspicious in his mind, he is basically unable to get away because Wuda is constantly entangling him. I failed. Qin Yu feels a pain in his heart. He can't understand why Wu Xing unexpectedly retreated almost at the same time when he launched his killing blow at the last moment. Could it be he knew Qin Yu was going to make a move? Qin Yu simply cannot understand why this happened. Qin Yu has a sweet taste in his throat. Blood is about to gush up again. Just now, when Wu Xing was extremely angry, he obviously launched a killing blow by imbuing extremely strong internal energy into the dagger. That dagger is also a middle-grade holy weapon. Qin Yu's flaming sword is also a middle-grade holy weapon, but the dagger contains extremely strong internal energy. With so much internal energy passing through the middle-grade holy dagger to attack, its power is indeed extremely great. The weapons are of the same grade, but the difference between the people using them is too great. Various clear streams come out from Lu Xing's tears, and start to spread all over Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu's injuries are healing at a terrifying speed. Unfortunately, Wu Xing has found out that he has a middle-grade holy weapon. Could it be God wants my father to die? Lying on his stomach on the ground, Qin Yu takes a look at Qinda in the distance. Qinda is still sitting with legs crossed calmly with his eyes closed. He basically did not see the fight just now. In fact, at the moment Qinda simply does not have any energy to pay attention to everything happening outside. Tremendous changes are taking place inside his body. After overcoming the heavenly tribulation, even though he has been seriously injured, the Xiantian energy inside his body has undergone a special transformation. A grain of sand is a world. Looking inside, his Dantian seems to be a boundless space. At the moment, various streams of water are flowing in the boundless space of his Dantian. These streams of water flow unceasingly, then start to converge into a sphere. When Shi Huang overcame the heavenly tribulation, he also formed the Jin Dan. Qinda also knows the method. Qinda immediately starts to operate that secret technique. The water sphere formed by the convergence of the water streams is relatively large in size. It suddenly shrinks by half, then grows a bit larger. It shrinks, then grows a bit larger. In this way, the water sphere continuously shrinks and shrinks. Its color also continuously changes. Slowly, it starts to change into a golden color. After a total of 81 changes, a pale golden sphere the size of a pigeon's egg appears. It is the Jin Dan. Around the Jin Dan, there are still streams of air flowing. I finally succeeded. Qinda feels relaxed. Immediately, streams of true elemental energy flow out from the streams of air surrounding the Jin Dan and start to flow throughout his body. Even though the Jin Dan has succeeded, its internal organs have been seriously injured. Even with true elemental energy, it is extremely difficult to heal the injuries to the body. At this moment, Qinda slowly opens his eyes. As soon as he opens his eyes, Qinda sees a shocking scene, a dark red light. Bang! Qinda reflexively instills true elemental energy into his long sword to block this dark red light. At the same time, Qinda moves his body and dodges far away. You actually formed the Jin Dan. Very fast. Too bad. You have just formed the Jin Dan and your power is still too weak. Moreover, your body is seriously injured. Alas, perhaps you're the shortest Zayationist. You've just become a Zayationist, and you're going to die. Wu Xing flies up into the air on his flying sword with an arrogant expression on his face. Phew! Qin Yu gasps for breath. Just now when he saw that Wu Xing was going to kill his father, Qin Yu became anxious. Too bad he was seriously injured. Secondly, even if he were faster, he would not be able to match the speed of that short knife cutting through the air. Luckily, Qinda formed the Jin Dan at the last moment. Qinda formed the Jin Dan in the early stage, but his body was seriously injured. He has a middle-grade holy sword. Wu Xing is in the middle stage of the Jin Dan, and has no injuries on his body. He has a low-grade holy flying sword, and a middle-grade holy short knife. Wu Xing is also much more experienced in controlling true elemental energy than Qinda. In this fight, the two of them are basically not on the same level. Qin Yu thinks for a while then becomes anxious. However, his power is not even comparable to his father's. Qin Yu's. You want to kill me? Qinda says with a cold laugh. At the moment, he has also seen the situation on the battlefield. Fenjiuzi is trapped by Wuda. That killer Lu Xing is seriously injured, and all of his subordinates are dead. He has nobody to rely on, so he can only rely on himself. Humph! A little guy who has just become a Zayationist also dares to be so arrogant? I'll kindly send you on your way. Wu Xing says with a cold laugh, then basically says nothing. That middle-grade holy short knife turns into a beam of light, and attacks extremely fast unceasingly. Bang! 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 In an instant, Qin Yu has only breathed twice, but the two of them have already exchanged several tens of blows. The intensity of this fight is even close to that of the fight between Fenjiuzi and Wuda. However, Qin Yu's complexion gradually changes color. He can clearly see blood flowing out from the corners of his father's mouth. Each time they exchange blows, Qinda's internal injuries become even more serious. Haha! Wu Xing laughs wildly. His attacks become even fiercer. He can totally see that Qinda's body is seriously injured. Injuries to the body are very difficult to heal. Because of this fierce fight, blood flows out of Qinda's mouth unceasingly. F***ck off. Finjizi is very anxious. He suddenly increases the power of his flying sword, wanting to save Qinda and escape. In your dreams. Wuda laughs out loud. The elemental energy inside his body madly pours into his flying sword. Relying on his profound power, Wuda forcibly holds Finjizi back. Father, Qinda's complexion becomes even paler, and his injuries become even more serious. Qinyu only feels as if his heart is being bitten by tens of thousands of ants. He is so anxious and painful that he finds it hard to breathe. He is so anxious that his heart aches and his head feels dizzy. He shouts loudly all of a sudden. His face is very red. His long sword and Wu Xing's short knife have the most powerful collision. Pff, blood spurts out. His body's injuries become even more serious, and he falls down directly on the ground. Wu Xing's face also becomes slightly pale. Wu Xing withdraws his short knife. His eyes are filled with a cold smile. What a pity, a brat who has just become a Zionist. As he is saying, the short knife in his hand brightens again. Streams of elemental energy are poured into it. Stop. Finjizi also knows that the situation is not good. He shouts wildly. However, Wuda also goes crazy and forcibly restrains Finjizi. Qinyu looks at his father, who is lying on the ground seriously injured, and then looks at the short knife, which is shining even more fiercely. His heart suddenly shakes. Almost in an instant, all the memories of the past 19 years flash through his mind like lightning. What was the purpose of 19 years of painstaking training? In order to demonstrate his value, in order to make his father proud of him, in order to let his father know that he is also as useful as his big brother and second brother. Die, Wu Xing says softly. He slightly moves his hand. The short knife in his hand, which has reached the pinnacle of energy, turns into a dark red flowing light and shoots straight at the seriously injured Qinda. Wu Xing's eyes droop slightly. There is a faint smile on the corners of his mouth. He is ready to watch Qinda die. When Wu Xing is about to attack, Qinyu rushes towards Qinda extremely fast. By the time Wu Xing shoots his short knife, Qinyu has already moved extremely fast. The distance between Wu Xing and Qinyu is over 100 m. Qinyu is on Qinda's side, only several tens of m away. Even though the distance is only several tens of m, the short knife is too fast. Qinyu basically cannot catch up with it. Seeing the short knife moving rapidly, Qinyu's only thought is to catch the short knife. Catch it! Qinyu suddenly howls in his mind. His speed has reached the pinnacle, but this kind of speed is still not enough. His heart hurts as if it is being bitten by countless ants. His head is about to explode. At the moment, Qinyu's eyes have already turned completely red. Suddenly, an ice-cold clear stream flows into Qinyu's brain. Qinyu's mind suddenly becomes clear. In this instant, the whole world quiets down completely. Time stops completely. 36 images of the three trans-heaven diagrams suddenly appear in Qinyu's brain. There are 108 images in total, from the first image to the last image. In a split second, Qinyu has a feeling of enlightenment. Boom! 36 silvery, 36 golden and 36 purple gas pillars appear in succession on the surface of Qinyu's body. 108 gas pillars in total intertwine with each other, forming a perfect and natural tricolor armor. At the same time, the feeling of time being still disappears. The short knife is still flying extremely fast. Just a little bit more. According to his own speed, Qinyu quickly judges in his mind that he is a little bit off. However, wrapped in 108 gas pillars, Qinyu suddenly increases his speed by 2 times like an arrow leaving the bow. He appears in front of Qinda in an instant. He suddenly stretches out both hands. The flaming gloves naturally appear on his hands. Qinyu's hands are like the claws of an eagle. He grabs the light-like short knife. This time Wu Xing has used a killing move. The energy in the short knife is terrifyingly strong. Pung! Even though the flaming gloves in Qinyu's hands have already caught the short knife, various streams of saber energy still shoot out from the short knife, and hit Qin Yu's body. That tricolor armor looks very formidable, but in fact it is only gas, and basically has no defensive power. In an instant, several 10 streams of saber energy hit Qin Yu's body in succession. Qin Yu's body is strong, but his abdomen is still pierced through. There is a terrifying wound on his abdomen. Blood is gushing out from the wound. The rapid blood loss causes Qin Yu's body to sway. Flaming gloves. At this moment Qinda, who is trying his best to stand up, sees the gloves on Qin Yu's hands and is stupefied. Why does this killer Lu Xing have the flaming gloves? Isn't Lu Xing the only one who has them? Qinda remembers the day when he and Finjiuzi guessed the killer Lu Xing's identity. Could it be? Qinda's heart shakes. But Yuer doesn't have true qi. Wu Xing is furious. He rushes over in a flash. At the same time he points with one hand. His flying sword immediately shoots towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu's abdomen has been pierced by that stream of saber energy, and his vital point has been injured. He basically has no time to dodge. Pooh! A flying sword pierces through Qin Yu's chest, and pierces his heart almost in the same instant that Qin Yu grabbed the short knife. At the same time, streams of clear water flow out from Lu Xing's tears unceasingly rush into Qin Yu's body to repair the wound. Unfortunately, the heart is a vital point of the human body. Father! Qin Yu tries his best to squeeze out a faint smile towards Qinda. At this moment his voice reverts to Qin Yu's voice. What? Qinda's face finally changes color. Killer Lu Xing is really his son. Goodbye. Now it seems I'm still a little useful. Qin Yu tries his best to squeeze out a smile. However, the injury to his vital point on his chest makes the muscles on Qin Yu's face twitch slightly. Suddenly, a hint of decisiveness and fierceness appears in Qin Yu's eyes. The two of you can die together. Wu Xing has already arrived. Qin Yu suddenly turns his face upwards and roars. His expression becomes ferocious. His hands, which were originally grabbing the short knife, reach their maximum speed. Only vague dragon claws can be seen. The 108 streams of air around Qin Yu's body flow rapidly for a while. Qi! The speed of Qin Yu's claws is so fast that they are even faster than the speed of the short knife a moment ago. They directly pierce into Wu Xing's chest. Qin Yu suddenly grabs Wu Xing with his right hand. Wu Xing's heart is immediately crushed by Qin Yu. How is this possible? Wu Xing opens his eyes wide. Looking at the hands that pierced his chest, his face is filled with disbelief. The flying sword a moment ago has already pierced through Qin Yu's chest and directly pierced his heart. Even Zionist will die, but why can Qin Yu persist for so long? Wu Xing simply doesn't know that as soon as Qin Yu was seriously injured, Lu Xing's tears urgently sent out streams of clear streams into Qin Yu's heart unceasingly. This allowed Qin Yu to persist for a little while longer, so that he could make the final blow. Junior brother! Wu De roars madly. Suddenly, a mournful eagle cry rises. A beam of light dives down from 10,000 m high in the sky. It is none other than Xiaohei. Xiaohei is flying too high. By the time he discovers that Qin Yu's life is in danger, it is already too late for him to rush down. Xiaohei cries madly and dives down extremely fast. Qin Yu's heart has been pierced. Even Lu Xing's tears cannot heal it in a short while. Qin Yu only feels that everything in front of his eyes gradually darkens. He is also unable to breathe. He knows he is going to die. Qin Yu's eyes gradually dim. He is going to die. At the same time, Qin Yu's figure also starts to change. He returns to his original appearance of Qin Yu. At the moment, Qin Yu is unable to keep the appearance of the appearance and bone-changing technique. Seeing the change in Qin Yu's figure, Qinda only felt his heart clench in pain. He simply could not stop his tears from flowing down. Qin Yu looked at Qinda. There was unexpectedly a faint smile on his face. Afterwards, the expression in his eyes completely darkened. Yuer is dead. Qinda's whole body shakes. His whole body seems to be struck by lightning. But you didn't give me a chance. You didn't give me a chance at all. You only said that it was useless for me to participate. Father, you didn't even give me a chance. Why are you so sure that I'm useless? Why? Haha. I'm useless, the most useless one. No matter how hard I try, no matter how far I reach in cultivation, I'll always be the most useless one. It's funny. What have I been cultivating for all these years? What have I been cultivating for? What's the use of cultivating for? Qin Yu's voice still echoes in his ears. His whole body starts to tremble. He clearly remembers the last words his son left for him. Goodbye. Now it seems that I'm still a little useful. Ah! Qin turns his face upwards and roars. He is extremely grief-stricken. At this moment, the whole sky suddenly turns dark red, just like the heavenly tribulation at the beginning. However, the area it covers this time is much larger. At first glance, the whole sky is dark red. In the middle of the dark red sky are fiery red clouds, just like tribulation clouds. Pa! Xiaohei spreads its wings and slaps Qin Yu away. It cries nonstop. Drops of pearl-like tears flow out from Xiaohei's eagle eyes. However, Qin Yu is already motionless. After being slapped away by Xiaohei, he sits down on the ground paralyzed. Boom! The fiery red tribulation clouds in the sky suddenly rumbled with thunder, and an extremely thick beam of light descended from the sky. That beam of light would probably need 3 or 4 adults to encircle it. That huge fiery red beam of light was like a bolt of lightning that struck down its target, Qin Yu. At the moment, Qin Yu's hands are still stuck in Wu Xing's chest. Xiaohei is hugging Qin Yu tightly with its wings. Even though the terrifying beam of light descends from the sky, it is still motionless. Boom! The beam of light hits Qin Yu and the others. The beam of light is so thick that it covers Qin Yu, Wu Xing and Xiaohei. Only now does Qin wake up with a start. No matter what, even though his son has died, he can't die without an intact corpse. However, when that beam of light disappears, the place where they were attacked just now, and even the weapons they used to fight also disappear completely. There is nothing left. Qin clenches his teeth. His whole body starts to tremble. Scenes from the past appear in his mind one after another. The scene of his son blaming him keeps reappearing. Haha, I'm useless, the most useless. No matter how hard I try, no matter how far I reach in practice, I'll always be the most useless. It's funny. For so many years, what have I been practicing? What have I been practicing for? What's the use of practicing? Qin's heart is filled with endless pain. His tears simply cannot be restrained. Men don't cry easily only because they haven't been deeply hurt. Xiangguang. Wuda. Qin suddenly looks at Wuda. At the moment, his heart is filled with hatred. If it hadn't been for Xiangguang and those 2 Zayationists given his son's power, how could he have died? Qin disregards the injuries to his body and surges his elemental energy. Holding his long sword, he charges at Wuda. Seeing Qin charging at him so crazily, Wuda, whose attack power was originally on par with Fenjiuzi's, is immediately shocked. No matter what, Qin is an early Jin Dan cultivator, and even has a middle-grade holy weapon. Fenjiuzi, who is also in a frenzy at the moment, is also present. Wuda immediately controls his flying sword. Without thinking about anything else, he uses his fastest speed to fly away. His attack power is extremely high, and his flying speed is not something that Qin and Fenjiuzi can catch up with. Seeing Wood running away, Qin, who is furious, suddenly spits out a mouthful of blood. His internal organs have been seriously injured. Your Highness, calm down, calm down. Fenjiuzi hurriedly holds Qin down. He knows how serious Qin's injuries are at the moment. However, there is extreme hatred in Qin's eyes. Wuda Xiangguang, my wife is dead. Now my son is dead too. Ah, Xiangguang Wuda, I Qin, hereby swear that if I don't kill you, I'll die without a burial place. Brother Feng, take me back. Everything has been planned ahead of time and accelerated. Half a year later, everything must be properly prepared. I'm going to lead an army of 1 million to flatten the Xiang clan and exterminate it. Then I'll let that Wuda's soul scatter. Qin gnashes his teeth. His red and crazy eyes make people tremble. Chapter 71. In the evening, the sun is setting in the west. Even though the light is not dazzling, it illuminates the whole earth. However, in a courtyard of the East Vanquishing Prince's mansion, it is very gloomy and cold. Qin Feng, Qin Zheng, Su Yuan and Fenjiuzi are sitting at a stone table. But Qinda alone is standing in the courtyard with his hands behind his back, raising his head, and looking at a willow tree. This courtyard is unique to Qinyu's mansion. This willow tree was planted by Qinda and Qinyu together, when Qinda was a child. No matter if it is Qin Feng, Qin Zheng or Su Yuan, there is no trace of a smile on their faces. Xiaoyu is dead. When Qin Feng and Qin Zheng first received this news, they were simply stupefied. They could never imagine that their third brother would die like this. Moreover, he would die without an intact body, having been completely destroyed by a black thunderbolt. Qin Feng and Qin Zheng still remember their promise. They want to protect their own brother, but they can no longer fulfill their oath. Speed up all the plans. In half a year, Zheng, can you completely prepare the logistics, provisions, armors, weapons and other materials in half a year? With his hands behind his back, Qinda's voice suddenly rises in the empty courtyard. Qin Zheng slightly frowns. He thinks for a while then says with a nod, "Half a year. Father, if the provisions and other materials are completely prepared, half a year will be enough. But it will still take some time to send these materials to the various armies. If we relax a bit, we can finish it perfectly in 8 months. If we really have to rush, we can barely finish it in half a year." Su Yuan, can we finish all the steps of the Flying Eagle plan in half a year? Qinda continues to ask. Su Yuan thinks for a while then says again, "Your Highness, according to the original plan, we should still have 2 years to prepare. Now we have to accelerate it to half a year. Time is a bit tight, but we've been carrying it out for more than 10 years. If we accelerate it, we can still barely start all the plans in half a year." Good. Qinda suddenly turns around and says while looking at several people, "Then we'll relax a bit. After 7 months we'll launch an all-out attack. According to the plan, we have to unify the whole Chu kingdom in half a year." The cold light in Qinda's eyes is frighteningly fierce. "Yes, Father, Your Highness." Qin Feng, Qin Zheng and Su Yuan immediately stand up and bow to take the order. "Feng, hurry back to the army. I'll be in charge of the overall command of the army," Qinda said directly. "All right, everyone can get to work now." Qin Feng, Qin Zheng, and Su Yuan immediately bow and leave. "Your Highness, you should rest more. You are still injured." Fenjiuzi shook his head and sighed. Qinda turned around and looked at the willow tree. "Recuperate and rest? Do I have the leisure to do that? If I don't flatten the 4 western region counties, exterminate the Xiang clan, kill Xiang Guang and scatter his soul, how can I rest and recuperate in peace?" Fenjiuzi couldn't help but smile bitterly. However, he wasn't too worried. With the elixirs in the mansion, and Qinda's current strength at the early stage of Jin Dan, the injuries in his body could be completely healed in a month. "Your Highness, I'll be going back first. If you need anything, you can send someone to find me." Fenjiuzi cupped his hands and said, "Brother Feng, please return." "I won't send you off," Qinda said calmly. Fenjiuzi nodded then stepped on his flying sword, and directly soared into the sky, leaving. "We'll start in 7 months. Within half a year, 1 million troops will definitely flatten the 4 western region counties and exterminate the Xiang clan." Qinda said to himself in a low voice, but his eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Get lost!" A loud shout came from inside the room. Outside the room, Xiang Guang's body couldn't help trembling. Xiang Guang was also very sullen. As soon as he heard that Shangxian had returned, he immediately ran over enthusiastically, because he wanted to know whether Qinda was dead or not. On the way out of the imperial palace, Xiang Guang was very excited. But just now when he was about to speak he was scolded out. "F***ck, this Wuda. I gave him the red flourishing pills. Could it be he came back without killing Qinda?" Xiang Guang's heart was filled with anger, but he knew one thing. No matter what, he could not offend Shangxian. After all, Shangxian was his Xiang clan's backer. Red flourishing pills were the reward for Wuda and Xiang Guang for killing Qinda. If they didn't kill Qinda, of course Xiang Guang would be resentful and helpless. "Your Majesty." A nearby eunuch immediately bowed beside Xiang Guang. "Get lost." Xiang Guang waved his sleeve and pushed the eunuch aside. He then tried his best to squeeze out a smile and said, "Shangxian." "Xiang Guang brat, Today I'm in a bad mood. Don't disturb me. Wu De shouted coldly. Xiang Guang swallowed and squeezed out a dry smile, saying, Shangxian, didn't I give you the red flourishing pills last time, and ask you to help me kill Qinda? Is Qinda dead or alive? No matter what, Xiang Guang still had to ask this question. Moreover, Xiang Guang didn't believe that Wu De would dare to kill him. Peng! The door of the room was suddenly pushed open. The two doors hit the wall. Wu De, with his long hair fluttering in the wind, walked out with a face full of anger. His eyes glittered with anger and resentment as he stared at Xiang Guang. Xiang Guang was so frightened by Wu De's appearance that he retreated repeatedly. Don't talk to me about Qinda. This time I accepted this mission, and even my junior brother lost his life because of it. You still talk to me about the red flourishing pills and Qinda? Get lost. Don't think that because you're a descendant of the Xiang clan, I, Wu De, won't dare to touch you. The anger on Wu De's body is oppressing Xiang Guang, as if it has substance. He and his junior brother have been friends for several hundred years, so they have very deep feelings for each other. This time Wu Xing's death was a very big blow to Wu De. Moreover, the 5 middle-grade holy short daggers that Wu Xing received at that time were also destroyed by a beam of light that suddenly appeared in the end. This time Wu De didn't gain anything at all, and even lost his junior brother. How can he not be angry? Shangxian, please don't be angry. I'll leave right away and won't disturb your rest. Shangxian, please don't be angry. After saying so, Xiang Guang was scared witless. He immediately led a group of subordinates to flee from Wu De's residence. They were really in a very difficult situation. Xiang Guang turned his head around to look at Wu De's residence in the distance. He gave a cold humph, then immediately rushed back to the imperial palace. The wilderness is boundless. Up to now, nobody has been able to tell exactly how big the wilderness is. The deeper you go into the wilderness, the denser the natural holy energy is. At the same time, the demonic beasts there are also more formidable. At a place almost 100,000 li away from the border of the wilderness, of course, this 100,000 li is only a small distance in the wilderness. After all, the wilderness is really too big. At this place there is a huge lake. Beside the lake there is a huge mountain-like building. That building is only 2 stories high, and is only about 8 or 9 m tall. However, the area it occupies is frighteningly large. Both its length and width are over 100 m. Inside this building, each room is very luxurious. The rooms even have all kinds of lights that have never been seen on the Qianlong continent, and emit all kinds of colors. In a spacious hall inside this building, the floor is pure silver. On this silver floor, a young man with a wound on his abdomen, a middle-aged man with white eyebrows reaching his temples, and a black eagle are lying there. They are none other than Qinyu, Wu Xing, and the black eagle who disappeared. Under his gaze, Qinyu's eyes have completely dimmed. His heartbeat and pulse have also stopped. He has stopped breathing. Is this the feeling of being dead? Qinyu vaguely remembers Xiaohei's mournful cry. However, Qinyu is basically unable to make any sound. He can't even move his fingers. However, his soul consciousness still exists. As his bodily functions stop, Qinyu's soul starts to shake for a while. A basically irresistible suction force comes from the outside and acts directly on Qinyu's soul, as if it wants to suck away Qinyu's soul. If I die, will my soul enter the cycle of reincarnation? Qinyu simply cannot resist. His soul consciousness can only feel this suction force. This suction force is overbearing and extremely powerful. Qinyu's soul starts to float up, as if it wants to float away from Qinyu's body. Suddenly, a warm current gushes out directly from the tear of Lu Xing on his chest, then wraps around Qinyu's soul consciousness. It's so warm, as if I'm wrapped in warm water. Qinyu's soul consciousness can only feel this way. At the same time, that warm current directly isolates him from the suction force. Qinyu's soul still remains in his body, and has not been sucked away. Qinyu's soul is wrapped in the warm current of Lu Xing's tear. Qinyu is basically unable to perceive what is actually happening in the outside world. He doesn't even feel anything when a fiery red beam of light shoots down from the sky onto Qinyu's body. At the same time, Lu Xing's tear sends out various clear currents which flow unceasingly into Qin Yu's wound. The wound on Qin Yu's body is healing unceasingly. However, the wound on his heart is healing at an extremely slow speed. Nevertheless, it is still healing slowly. Time goes by minute, second by second. Qin Yu's soul is enjoying that warm current. It absorbs that warm current of energy like a baby. Qin Yu's soul also gradually becomes more and more substantial. His soul takes the shape of a 7-colored disc. The color of the soul itself is very gorgeous and attractive. At the same time, energy flickers unceasingly around the soul like lightning. As the soul absorbs the warm current, those lightning flickers more and more powerfully. In the blink of an eye, 7 days have passed. The huge wound on Qin Yu's abdomen doesn't even have a single scar. The reason why it took 7 days is because the heart is the most difficult to heal. Ordinary wounds of the flesh will disappear in just half a day, but it takes 7 days to heal the heart. Qin Yu's soul is still warm. Suddenly, Qin Yu feels that warm current disappears. At the same time, a familiar feeling slowly returns. Qin Yu enjoys that feeling very much. That is the feeling of being in control of the whole body. There is a complete connection between the soul and the body. Qin Yu suddenly opens his eyes. At the moment, his hands are still stuck in Wu Xing's chest. Of course Wu Xing can't be any more dead. Qin Yu suddenly pulls his hands out. At the same time, he shakes his hands. His muscles tremble extremely fast for a while. Blood is shaken out. Phew! Qin Yu rolls and climbs up. He looks all around. With a glance, Qin Yu sees Xiao He not far from him. Xiao He is staring blankly at Qin Yu. In a short while he cries loudly in excitement. Eagle cries are heard unceasingly. At the same time, he rushes over at high speed. He hugs Qin Yu tightly with his huge wings and cries wantonly. Haha, Xiao He, that's enough. Wow, your saliva is all over my body. Qin Yu and Xiao He are fooling around with each other. Welcome, master. I didn't expect that even after your heart was pierced, you could still be saved. This really surprised me. A clear and melodious child's voice rises in the entire spacious hall. Qin Yu and Xiao He are both startled. Qin Yu spreads out his holy sense. This is a very strange building. It is fundamentally different from the buildings on the Qianlong continent. However, Qin Yu does not find anyone here. Who are you? Qin Yu says at once. Could it be you saved me? I am Xiao Xing. But it wasn't me who saved you. It was you who saved yourself. That clear and pleasant child's voice rises again. Qin Yu frowns slightly. He recalls the scene when his heart was pierced by Lu Xing. At that time, Lu Xing's tears seemed to be sending out various clear streams to repair his heart unceasingly. Even though it was very slow, it was still repairing his heart. Also, when his body stopped functioning completely, his soul was about to be absorbed, and a warm stream wrapped around his soul. Could it be Lu Xing's tears saved me? Qin Yu thinks to himself. This Lu Xing's tears are really very miraculous. At least for now. Qin Yu simply cannot understand why he is all right even after his heart was pierced. It should be known that even Zayashinists, if a Zayashinist below the Dongshu stage has his heart pierced, he will definitely die. If an expert at the Dongshu stage or above has his heart pierced, his body will be destroyed, and he will have to rely on Yuanying to cultivate as a loose immortal. It has never been heard that a Zayashinist can come back to life after his heart was pierced. Putting this question aside for the moment, Qin Yu calms himself down and asks, You are Xiao Xing. Who is Xiao Xing? Why did you call me master at the beginning? Can you explain everything clearly? Also, why is the lighting here so strange? Qin Yu raises his head and looks up. It is a huge square-shaped transparent product that emits multicolored light. It is very gorgeous. Xiao Xing is the housekeeper of this house. He is an artificial intelligence. This villa was built by the first master Lei Wei. I followed Master Lei Wei and drifted in the universe. Master constantly cultivated and comprehended in the universe. Originally, we were in a technological universe. The technology was very advanced. This villa was refined by Master, and then stored in the storage ring. Once, Master went into a black hole and was sucked in. After coming out alive, he went to another universe. Master entered one of the planets, which is the planet you are on. That crisp child's voice says excitedly. Qingyu frowns. Artificial intelligence. Villa. Technology. Black hole. Planet. Qingyu doesn't understand at all. Qingyu also doesn't understand how he got here. This planet is completely made up of cultivators. Our original universe also had cultivators, but in the technologically advanced universe, there were very few cultivators, very few. However, there are a lot of cultivators on this planet, in the tens of thousands. After spending some time on this planet, Master was about to pass the heavenly tribulation. He was worried that he would fail, so he left me in this universe early and let me wait for the second Master. Sure enough, after waiting for so many years, the teleportation array was finally activated and sent you, Master. Qingyu understands a little, but he doesn't know the names of some of the technologies. Xiaoxing, why didn't you come out? Come out and talk to me. Qingyu doesn't know what artificial intelligence is at all, and says directly. Wait a minute, Xiaoxing doesn't have a physical body. I can only use a virtual image. The image appears in front of Qingyu. It is the image of a kitten. Qingyu is dumbfounded, and can't help but reach out his hand. However, his hand passes through the virtual image of the kitten's body. At a glance, this virtual image seems to be real. Only when you touch it, you will find that it is just a virtual image. Hee, Master is from the Qianlong continent. You don't know what technology is. The original Master Lei Wei has already prepared a book written in the language of your Qianlong continent. Read it slowly. You will understand everything after reading it. If you want to turn the page, just remind me. A simple book floats in front of Qingyu. Of course, this is also virtual. Qingyu looks at it stupidly. After a long time, he swallows and starts to read carefully, ignoring everything else. As he reads, a novel civilization, one that is completely different from the Xiuzhen civilization, appears in front of him. Lei Wei is a very intelligent person. A book of hundreds of thousands of words allows Qingyu to understand the meaning of technology. At least, Qingyu knows how to use this villa. So, this is how I was transmitted to this villa. Qingyu has a smile on his face. He completely understands everything. If you want to practice the stellar transformations, you must reach the peak of the Xiantian realm. In other words, you must completely master the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams. The symbol of training to the extreme is that the body is covered with 108 pillars of air and forms a tricolor armor. Once the tricolored armor is formed, that miraculous enormous conveying array will sense it and directly teleport Qingyu into this villa that was preset. At the same time, Little Star will automatically accept Qingyu's blood to recognize it as its master. Meow Master, the first master left behind a video. In it, he wants to say something to you. Do you want to see it? Little Star blinks its eyes and swings its tail. Qingyu can't help but be startled. Towards this Lei Wei, Qingyu still has a lot of respect. Obviously, Lei Wei is that mysterious expert who killed Desheng stage experts, quite a few loose immortals and several tens Dujia stage and Kongming stage experts. The origin of this expert is even stranger. He is not even from this Xiuzhen world. Do I want to see this senior? Little Star, give Xiaohei the right to pass through this villa. Also, wait for me to dispose of this guy's body. This is... As soon as he looks at Wu Xing's body, Qingyu discovers something. Wu Xing is dead. The flying sword, the short knife and the storage bracelet in his body naturally fall to one side. Qingyu doesn't care too much about the flying sword and the short knife. But Qingyu has never played with that storage bracelet. Qingyu picked up the storage bracelet. The original owner of this storage bracelet had already died, and was now an ownerless item. Qingyu immediately dripped a drop of his blood on the storage bracelet to recognize it as its owner. The drop of blood was then completely absorbed by the storage bracelet. It's so miraculous. It unexpectedly has a space as big as a room. As soon as Qingyu puts on the storage bracelet, he can completely feel the space inside the storage bracelet. Wearing the storage bracelet, Qingyu feels a burst of joy in his heart. With a thought, the things inside the storage bracelet appear in his hand and enter the inside of the bracelet in an instant. It's really very convenient and mysterious. Qingyu can't help sighing inwardly at the magic of the storage bracelet. Xiaohei, from now on you can walk around this villa as you please. Come with me to bury this guy's body. Qingyu grabs Wu Xing's body and walks out of the hall in large strides. Master, come with me. This way. Just now that was the training hall. The silver walls and the floor around the training hall were refined from a kind of, or collected from a planet, with an especially strong gravitational force when Master was traveling the universe. They are especially hard. Even the so-called high-grade holy weapons of this Xiozhen world can only leave a mark on them. Starlet says proudly. Qingyu secretly smacks his lips. Those silver stone walls and the floor of the training hall are unexpectedly so hard. Qingyu doesn't know that Lei Wei has been wandering the universe and adventuring in the universe. He has seen many peculiar planets. Some planets have even stronger gravitational forces, so much so that even Lei Wei doesn't dare to enter them. After walking out of the door of the living room, there is a comparatively large indoor swimming pool. Walking around the swimming pool, they leave this villa. It's really very beautiful. As soon as Qingyu comes out, he sees a blue lake in front of him. Beside the lake is a green meadow. This villa is located right beside the lake. Outside the green meadow is a huge mountain forest. At first glance, one can see all kinds of wild beasts. Looking back at the villa from the outside, it looks just like a mountain. Qingyu says with a smile. The word villa is really awkward. Since this villa was built by Senior Lei Wei, and it looks like a mountain from now on, this villa will be called Lei Mountain House. Qingyu still gives it a name with the style of the Qianlong continent. After that, Qingyu buries Wu Xing's body not far from here. Xiaohei, you play around. Don't go too far. This is the untainted land. Maybe there are some powerful demonic beasts here. If you run into danger, come back immediately. Qingyu says while patting Xiaohei's head gently. Xiaohei flaps his wings and nods excitedly. Qingyu gives a smile then returns to Lei Mountain House directly. Lei Mountain House is very large. It is divided into 2 floors. On the lower floor, there is a kung fu training hall, a living room, a weapon forging room, a pill concocting room, a storeroom, a swimming pool at the front and a garden at the back. In the garden, there are flowers and plants from some exotic planets. On the first floor, there is no technology or entertainment. Instead, it is a place for training, weapon forging and pill concocting. The second floor is the opposite. On the second floor, there is a bathroom, a kitchen, a recreation room, a bedroom, a study and other places for rest and relaxation. At the moment, Qingyu is in the Kung Fu training hall. Xiao Xing, didn't you say that Senior Lei Wei left a video? Turn it on and let me see. Standing in the Kung Fu training hall, Qingyu's heart beats a little faster. After all, the video he is about to see is the mysterious Lei Wei. Meow. Wait a minute. Xiao Xing waves his tail then disappears. At the same time, the entire wall of the Kung Fu training hall shows the images of the stars in the universe. For a moment, Qingyu seems to be in the universe. The ground under his feet is an image of the void. He cannot see the ground at all. Universe? Is this the universe? Qingyu is a little curious. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appears in front of Qingyu. At this moment, the figure has his back to Qingyu. He stands with his hands clasped behind his back. After a long time, he sighs and turns around. Proud, aloof, and fierce. This is the first impression Qingyu has of Lei Wei. Lei Wei suddenly smiles and says, "Hello, if you see this video, it means that I, Lei Wei, have really failed the tribulation." Qingyu understands. If Lei Wei did not fail the tribulation, he would definitely return to Lei Mountain House. Naturally, this scene would not happen. Lei Wei looks very approachable with a smile. Qingyu is not nervous. Lei Wei's eyes are a little misty. He seems to be recalling his life. I am a prince of an empire in the Milky Way. However, I do not like imperial power. Instead, I like interstellar adventures and cultivation. There is only one planet where there are self-cultivators, and that is Earth. I only know that after reaching a certain level of cultivation. Back then, I kept on cultivating, and got a secret book called the Trans-Heaven 3 Diagrams. It only has 3 pages, and each page has 36 diagrams. In order to practice the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams, one must reach the Xiantian realm. I tried my best to practice it, and after going through all kinds of difficulties, I finally succeeded. I gave up my position as a prince and relied on my spaceship to adventure in the universe. At the same time, I kept on cultivating the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams. Finally, one day the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation came, and I was lucky enough to pass it. However, I did not have the cultivation method to continue practicing. Lei Wei's face has a trace of satisfaction and happiness. He seems to be recalling his adventurous years. When I was adventuring in the universe, I heard about Jin Dan and Yuanying. However, I did not get any cultivation method. It is really too precious. At that time, I did not have any cultivation method, so I chose to create my own path. I know that cultivation is to pursue the heavenly Tao. But what is the heavenly Tao? Is it to cultivate Jin Dan and Yuanying? Lei Wei's face has a trace of arrogance and confidence. No, I don't think so. I think that the heavenly Tao is the most primitive and natural thing. It is not something that is forcibly fixed by man. After observing the natural evolution of the stars in the universe, I gradually gained enlightenment. Then, I began to create a new cultivation method according to my own understanding. This method is based on the evolution of the stars in the universe. It is called the stellar transformations. Qin Yu's heart is moved. Could the stellar transformations be that mysterious cultivation method? Lei Wei continues. After a series of battles and adventures, I finally learned of the existence of Earth, the base of all the cultivators in the universe. I spent 100 years on Earth, and also obtained several cultivation methods. However, in my opinion, they are not as good as the stellar transformations I created. Lei Wei naturally exudes an aura of disdain. I left Earth and began to adventure in the universe. Finally, one day, I was sucked into a black hole. The black hole is really too strong. It is simply not something that human can resist. I came to a new space. At the same time, I discovered the nearest planet. This planet is very big, ridiculously big. It is more than 10,000 times bigger than Earth in the Milky Way. When I entered it, I discovered that the number of cultivators on this planet is even more frightening. There are tens of thousands of them. Lei Wei gives a disappointed smile. Little guy, I have some cultivation methods in my study. They are all cultivation methods. I have collected quite a lot of them. Some are from Earth, and some are from this world. If you want to cultivate, you can cultivate them. Qin Yu frowns. Could it be that this Lei Wei is not going to teach me the stellar transformations? Little guy, the stellar transformations is an incomplete cultivation method. It walks a path that no one has ever walked before. I have drifted in the universe for thousands of years before I created the first 6 major realms: nebula, Luxing, star core, planet, tribulation, and star. And star is just my imagination. After that, I don't have it. If you cultivate according to my method, even if you succeed in tribulation, reach the star realm, and ascend to the world of immortals, you won't have any cultivation methods to cultivate in the future. Lei Wei says with a faint smile. Qin Yu also knows the disadvantages of the stellar transformations. Cultivating to the tribulation stage is fine. Lei Wei has already cultivated it. The star realm is just Lei Wei's imagination. As for the later realms, there are no cultivation methods. Once he embarks on this path and cultivates to the star realm, he must continue to create. Because other cultivators cultivate Yuanying, other people's cultivation methods can't help him at all. But is it so easy to create one's own cultivation method? If one fails and suffers from qi deviation, one's body and soul will be destroyed, and one's soul will scatter. The stellar transformations, haha. Is cultivating the stellar transformations a blessing? A disaster? It's hard to say. Well, little guy, you decide for yourself. If you don't cultivate it, help me find a successor when you have the chance in the future. Unfortunately, the stellar transformations requires external cultivation to reach the peak of the Xiantian stage. It is based on the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams. It won't be easy to find a successor, but this is something you need to consider in the future. Lei Wei let out a disappointed smile and sighed. Milky Way dream star. Then Lei Wei's figure completely disappeared. Qin Yu ponders for a while. Then his eyes flash with fierceness. He immediately leaves the training hall extremely fast and rushes up to the second floor to enter the study. There are quite a few paper books in the study. Among these books, there are some books on astronomy and geography as well as books on practice. This Lei Wei is also very strange, because he unexpectedly wrote various practice techniques in paper books. The book at the top is The Stellar Transformations. Blessing or Disaster. Once I reach the star realm, I can ascend. Even if I don't have any cultivation methods in the future, can Master Lei Wei create one? But I can't? If there is no challenge, it will be too boring. Cultivating such a cultivation method will make one's blood boil. Qin Yu sat on a chair and opened the Stellar Transformations. Jin Dan's yuanying must be the right path of cultivation? The so-called pursuit of the heavenly Tao. What is the heavenly Tao? Looking at the evolution of the universe, I created this cultivation method. It is also a path of cultivation. This cultivation method is divided into 6 realms. Let's talk about the first chapter, Nebula chapter. Generally, after a cultivator succeeds in passing the tribulation, the Xiantian true qi in the boundless Dantian must be condensed into a water ball and then refined into Jin Dan. But does it have to be like this? Must it be condensed? The first step of my stellar transformations is to disperse it. It turns the Xiantian true qi back into a gaseous state and disperse it. Not only does it have to be dispersed throughout the Dantian, but it also has to be dispersed outside the body. With the Dantian as the center and the body as the bridge, it communicates with the universe and the heart. Together, it evolves the heavenly Tao in nature. Qin Yu looked at this cultivation method and couldn't help but feel excited. Those cultivators, such as Jin Dan and Xiantian Yuanying, always kept absorbing true qi and then refining it in the Dantian. They were really stingy. If one wanted to be one with the heavens and the earth, one would have to reach the Dongxu stage to be able to feel a little yuanying outside the body. However, at the beginning of the stellar transformations, it was to disperse it into a gaseous state. With the Dantian as the center and the body as the bridge, one communicates with the universe and the heart and absorbs the power of the stars in the universe. Okay, Master Lei Wei, I will continue to practice the stellar transformations. Even if I don't have a cultivation method after finishing the stellar chapter, I will continue to create and perfect it. Even if I fail, I will have a successor who will continue to practice it. One generation after another, there will be a generation who will succeed completely. Qin Yu's eyes flashed, and he held the Stellar Transformations book tightly in his hand. To practice the stellar transformations, one must be prepared to fail in creating it and die from Qigong deviation. But would Qin Yu be afraid? If he was timid and afraid of death, would he still be Qin Yu? Even though he was close to death, Qin Yu felt excited, and his blood was boiling. This kind of life was full of passion, and was a perfect life without regrets. Chapter 72. What a big storeroom. Qin Yu opened the door of the storeroom on the first floor of Lei Mountain House. Qin Yu was surprised by the size of the training hall. However, what surprised Qin Yu the most was that there were all kinds of ores in the storeroom. Crimson, red, green, gold, silver, black, white. Qin Yu's first impression is that these ores are all extremely precious crystals. Moreover, none of them is inferior to in-rock flaming iron. This is what he feels. End of B10C13. End of B10C13. End of B10C13. Master. When Master Lei Wei was wandering in the universe, he once came to a strange planet. That planet not only had a great gravitational force, but it was also full of precious crystals. Master dug out many of the better crystals. According to the saying of the cultivation world, these are all top-grade crystals, which can be used to refine top-grade spirit weapons. A kitten appeared out of thin air and floated beside Qin Yu. Qin Yu couldn't help but be surprised. Crystals used to refine top-grade spirit weapons. Qin Yu remembered what Finjiuzi said. Even in the overseas immortal islands, a top-grade spirit weapon was extremely precious, not to mention the top-grade crystals that filled more than half of the storeroom in front of him. Yu couldn't help but reach out his hand to take a look, however. Bang! Before Yu's hand even touches those crystals, he feels a repulsive force. His whole body shakes as he removes the repulsive force. Starlet on one side hurriedly says, Master. In the past, Master Lei Wei had once told Starlet about the principle that treasuring a jade ring is a crime. Master, if you haven't reached the core stage, you absolutely can't use these top-grade crystals. Oh, Master is really considerate. Cultivators may kill each other for a good crystal, let alone top-grade crystals. Yu smiled slightly, but then said with a bitter face, But I can only look at a mountain of treasures. It's really depressing. Starlet wagged its tail proudly and said, Meow, Master has already prepared everything for you. Look, there's a ring on the counter. That ring is a space ring, which is much more advanced than your storage bracelet. The space inside is also very large. While Starlet was still talking, Yu immediately walked over and took the ring directly. Yu directly dripped his blood on the ring and put it on. As soon as he put it on, Yu felt the wonders of this ring. The space inside was so large that it was simply appalling. How large is the space inside this space ring? As soon as Yu took a closer look, he was shocked. The storage bracelet space was only the size of a room, but the spatial ring's length and width alone was over 10,000 meters. It was also over 10,000 meters tall. Even a huge mountain could be easily stored inside. Starlet wagged its tail and said proudly, In the cultivation world, when it comes to refining weapons, if Master Lei Wei says he's second, no one would dare to say they're first. This dream ring is the best space ring that Master Lei Wei made to commemorate his home planet. Master Lei Wei said that the space inside this dream ring is much larger than the so-called number one space ring in the cultivation world, the Ming Su ring. With a thought, Yu directly hid the dream ring and disappeared. He definitely couldn't take out such a treasure. After all, he was really too weak. Of course, this also required the other party to be able to see the power of this ring. In the future, I'll use this ordinary storage bracelet to keep up appearances. Otherwise, it would be terrible if someone snatched it away because of this dream ring. Yu understood the principle of not showing off one's wealth, especially when his power was still considered weak in the cultivation world. Although the dream ring was hidden in his body, it didn't affect Yu's use of it at all. Hey, there are still some things inside. Yu suddenly found that there were some collections in this dream ring. After careful observation, he found that they were some crystals. However, these crystals didn't seem to be as precious as the top-grade crystals he saw in the storeroom just now. Starlet said proudly, Master, those are middle-grade crystals and some top-grade crystals. These were left to you by Master Lei Wei so that you can refine weapons. There's also a bottle of panacea, vermilion jade pill. It's used to heal injuries. As soon as Yu heard that, he smiled. Injuries? At least Yu felt that although this vermilion jade pill was an excellent panacea, its efficacy was definitely not as good as his Lu Xing's tears. Yu had an indescribable feeling towards Lu Xing's tears, which had saved his life. It's time to start practicing. If I want to go back to the untainted land alive, I can't succeed without reaching the nebula stage, equivalent to the Jindan stage. Yu immediately left the room and started to practice seriously. Yu practiced the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams and had already reached the level of 3-colored armor. 108 chi pillars surrounded his body at the same time. However, Yu still couldn't feel when the heavenly tribulation would come. He knew that he needed to comprehend the way of heaven. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. During these 7 days, Yu had read many books about cultivation. These books also talked about how to practice to feel the heavenly tribulation after reaching the Xiantian full completion. Yu practiced according to some of the methods. In the center of a blue lake outside Lei Mountain House, Yu closed his eyes and stood quietly in the center of the lake. Unexpectedly, his feet were floating on the surface of the lake, motionless. At the same time, 108 chi pillars surrounded Yu's body at the same time. In the past, he had to follow the movements of the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams to form the silver, gold, and purple chi pillars. However, during the battle in the Green Lotus Mountain Range, Qin Yu made a breakthrough at the last moment. Even if he didn't move, he could still make three-colored armor appear at the same time. Qin Yu had only recently realized that he had to float on the surface of the water, without sinking down at all. His mind entered the netherworld, and naturally merged with the heavens and earth. Qin Yu could clearly feel the vitality of any plant or animal, within a radius of several miles. In just 7 days, Qin Yu's progress was really shocking. Boom! Qin Yu's mind was suddenly shaken. He couldn't maintain his previous state, and directly fell into the water. Qin Yu suddenly woke up. He patted the water with one hand, and stood on the surface of the water again. At this moment, Qin Yu was full of excitement. 5 months. In 5 months, the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation will come. Good, it's really very good. Qin Yu's eyes were full of excitement. Just now a vast stream of energy directly penetrated into the depths of his mind. Afterwards, Qin Yu understood when the tribulation would come. This kind of feeling was really very mysterious. At this moment, an eagle cry rises from the horizon. The black eagle dives down directly. During this period of time, the black eagle has often hunted ferocious beasts in the surroundings. Ordinary Xiantian ferocious beasts are simply no match for the black eagle. Qin Yu has been practicing quietly in the wilderness without being disturbed by anybody. However, at the moment, the Chu kingdom is surging with undercurrents. The Qin clan's deployment of troops, and the mobilization of several 100,000 troops, absolutely cannot be concealed from the spies of the Xiang clan. The Qin clan is going to rebel. The Xiang clan is immediately informed of this news, and cannot help being caught unprepared. What's going on? Shengguan Hong said there were still a few years to go. That hidden pawn also said in the secret letter that the Qin clan would only rebel in 2 years. Why has it suddenly deployed troops and directly come to the border? At the moment, Xiang Guang is furious. The hook-nosed man on one side simply does not dare to say anything. At the moment, Xiang Guang is furious. How can Xiang Guang not be furious? Originally he thought that the Qin clan would rebel in 2 years, so his Xiang clan naturally formulated a series of measures. However, now the Qin clan has done so much in advance that naturally Xiang Guang is caught unprepared. Have the bandits of the Blackwater Mountain Range been dealt with? These bandits have been in the Blackwater Mountain Range for several hundred years. Their power has become increasingly greater. Even now it's impossible to exterminate them. But, now it's actually a good thing. Let them drag the Qin clan down. Xiang Guang says with a cold laugh. The hook-nosed man hurriedly says, Your Majesty, I was just about to report this matter. The bandits of the Blackwater Mountain Range have an especially big appetite. I didn't dare to make a decision on my own. The hook-nosed man takes out a letter from his bosom and gives it to Xiang Guang. Don't say so much. Even at this time you still have so many misgivings. Xiang Guang rebukes angrily, but he still receives the letter. As soon as he opens the letter and reads it, even though he has prepared for it, his expression still changes color. F***ck, these bastards, they're nothing but bandits. They unexpectedly made so many demands on me, and asked for so many troops and supplies. It's really. Xiang Guang is so angry that his hands tremble. Then he takes a deep breath and says with a cold laugh, Fine, I'll agree to their demands. Since they dare to ask for it, I'll give them everything. When the Qin clan is exterminated, I'll make these bandits spit out everything they have. Moreover, I'll add interest. Yes, Your Majesty. The hook-nosed man hurriedly bows and says, You may go. Xiang Guang says wantonly with a wave of his hand. The hook-nosed man immediately bows and leaves. In the east vanquishing prince's mansion, Qin Yu's courtyard house, Qin De is standing next to a willow tree, raising his head and looking at it. He is just standing there motionlessly. Ever since he returned, he has often gone to Qin Yu's courtyard house. Sometimes he can stand there for a whole day. Nobody dares to disturb him. When he closes his eyes, the scene of the battle during the tribulation appears in his mind. Qin Yu suddenly turns his face upwards and lets out a long roar. His expression becomes ferocious. His hands suddenly take the shape of dragon claws, and cut through the air with a sharp whistle. Chi! With the sound of flesh being pierced, Qin Yu's claws penetrate Wu Xing's chest. Qin Yu's eyes flash with fierceness. He suddenly makes a grabbing motion with his right hand. Wu Xing's heart is immediately crushed by Qin Yu's hand. In that battle, Qin Yu's fierceness, Qin Yu's fearlessness, Qin Yu's insanity, the four directions killing gods, the traitor Gu Min, and Wu Xing were all killed one by one. Even when facing the Zionist Wu Xing, Qin Yu, who was at an absolute disadvantage, still risked his life and killed the opponent regardless of everything. What did he do all this for? Those scenes appear unceasingly in his mind. His heart becomes even more grief-stricken. Of course he knows why his son Yu was so crazy. He will never forget everything his son has done for him. Each of his son's movements, the ferocious expression in his eyes when fighting the enemy, and his determination to perish together with Wu Xing. He will never forget all of this. I'm sorry. Now I can't do anything for you or make up for you. I can only flatten the Xiang clan and kill Xiang Guang and Wu Da, so that they can be buried with you. Don't worry, underground. Soon there's still half a year. After half a year, the war will start. Qin Yu's eyes flash with coldness. However, Qin Yu does not know that at the moment, Qin Yu is unceasingly practicing in the legendary wilderness where dangers lurk. In the wilderness, in a mountain forest, a huge cyan wolf the size of a tiger is moving forward slowly. Its bloodthirsty eyes look around. All of a sudden, all the hair on its body stands up. At the same time, various flames emerge from its body. Bang! That huge cyan wolf immediately utters an anguished howl. At the same time, it is sent flying by a kick like a sandbag and smashes into an old tree. With a cracking sound, that old tree is smashed into pieces, and then directly smashes into other trees. Copperhead, iron bones, tofu waste, it's really true. In an instant, Qin Yu appears beside the huge cyan wolf. At the moment his body is wrapped in animal skin. Those nearly perfect muscles of his are completely exposed. At the moment, Qin Yu's body has a kind of valiant aura. That huge cyan wolf's waist has been completely twisted. Obviously, Qin Yu's kick has already fractured its waist. But wolves are extremely ferocious beasts, especially this kind of blue flame wolf. Howl. The blue flame wolf suddenly raises its head and howls. Calling your companions? What a pity. With my holy sense, it's basically impossible for you to besiege me. Currently, Qin Yu's holy sense has already covered an area of nearly a kilometer. However, this mountain forest is really too big. It will take some time for those blue flame wolves to arrive. Hiss! The blue flame wolf slightly bends its forelimbs. Its eyes flicker with an ominous glint. Its whole body is covered in raging flames. However, this blue flame wolf is only in the Xiantian realm. Its flames are simply unable to harm Qin Yu's body. The blue flame wolf leaps up, and its two claws seem to tear the air apart as it slashes towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu's body produces several illusions. Then, he returns to his original position, as if he has not moved at all. But that blue flame wolf has already been sent flying back. At the moment, its claws have already been cut off, and its entire head is strangely twisted. Just now, relying on his body maneuvering skills, speed, and his hands, Qin Yu was able to cut off its claws and break its head directly. Blue flame wolves are so fast. Qin Yu's holy sense has already discovered that there are already 3 blue flame wolves within a kilometer of him. The 3 blue flame wolves are rushing towards him at a speed of nearly 100 meters per second. Qin Yu is standing there motionlessly. In a short while, the 3 blue flame wolves appear in Qin Yu's line of sight. Seeing that one of the blue flame wolves has already died, the 3 wolves' wolf-like nature immediately flares up. They howl a few times and actually rush forward, attacking Qin Yu at the same time. Qin Yu does not move. When the 3 blue flame wolves have already neared Qin Yu, Qin Yu suddenly lets out a low shout. A sharp glint bursts out from his eyes. At the same time, 108 chi pillars appear on the surface of Qin Yu's body. At this moment, Qin Yu turns into 3 people. The same straight line of iron fists smashes into the heads of the 3 blue flame wolves. Bang! The 3 blue flame wolves weakly fall to the ground. Their heads are not broken at all. However, The insides of their heads have been shattered by Qin Yu's hidden strength. In one move, the 3 wolves have died. When the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams is practiced to the extreme, it should be considered the strongest skill for close combat. Qin Yu's eyes flash with excitement. On the day of the Battle of Crossing the Tribulation, in order to save his father, Qin Yu finally comprehended the method of using 108 Qi pillars to protect his body at the same time. In that situation, Qin Yu's speed has increased by several times. However, after fighting in the Untainted Land for more than 2 months, Qin Yu has also discovered many advantages of using 108 Qi pillars to protect his body at the same time. If one dies, then 3 more will come. If 3 more die, then dozens more will come. Ho, I'm done playing. Qin Yu laughs out loud. Afterwards, his body moves and only a blur can be seen flickering in the forest. After a few flashes, he has already disappeared. If Qin Yu really fought with all his might, he would be able to kill dozens of blue flame wolves. At most, he would only be injured. However, after the death of dozens of blue flame wolves, hundreds and thousands of blue flame wolves will follow. In the forest near Lei Mountain House, where Qin Yu lives, there are at least thousands of blue flame wolves. Even Qin Yu does not dare to fight against so many blue flame wolves. After going out of this forest, Qin Yu enters a forest on another mountain range, near Lei Mountain House. Roar! A black striped tiger stares at Qin Yu, and roars continuously. However, it seems to have sensed how powerful Qin Yu is, so it does not dare to attack immediately. Suddenly, a sharp cry of an eagle is heard. A black bolt of lightning shoots down from the sky at an extremely fast speed. 2 sharp claws directly grab the spine of the black striped tiger and break it easily. With a bang sound, a hole is pecked on the head of the black striped tiger. Xiaohei, what's wrong with you recently? You've killed too many wild beasts, especially the powerful ones. It's not easy for me to meet a black striped tiger that has almost reached the limit of the Xiantian realm, but you killed it before me. Qin Yu says unhappily. Xiaohei spreads its huge wings and keeps jumping and chirping. Seeing this scene, Qin Yu cannot help but smile. Time passes very quickly. It has been 3 months since he arrived in the wilderness. On this day, Qin Yu is sitting cross-legged on the shore of a lake in silence. Cultivation is not only about killing, but also about the cultivation of the mind. When facing an enemy, a person with a weak mind will be nervous and will not perform well. A person with a normal mind will be able to perform normally and will occasionally go crazy. However, a person with a strong mind will be able to remain calm, even if Mount Tai collapses in front of him. His mind will be absolutely calm, and he will be able to analyze the enemy's weakness. Suddenly, a fierce wind suddenly blows. The towering trees in the wilderness keep swaying. The wild beasts also quiets down, as if they have sensed something terrifying. The floating clouds in the sky are swept away. It was still daytime a moment ago, but suddenly the sky turns dark red. Qin Yu suddenly opens his eyes and stares at the sky. This scene is so familiar. It is exactly the same as his father's tribulation. 49 heavenly tribulations? Qin Yu is shocked. Could there be a powerful demonic beast that is about to undergo tribulation? But I've been here for so long, and there doesn't seem to be any powerful wild beasts in the surrounding dozens of miles. A huge whirlpool appears in the dark red sky. The entire dark red sky also produces electric snakes out of nowhere. The electric snakes are also absorbed by the whirlpool and gather in the center of the whirlpool. In just a moment, the whirlpool turns into a purple tribulation cloud. The strangest thing is, this purple tribulation cloud is right above Qin Yu. What? My heavenly tribulation? Qin Yu is a bit stunned. He clearly remembers that his heavenly tribulation should still be 2 months away. Why did it suddenly appear? Moreover, the purple tribulation cloud appeared above his head. Did the heavenly tribulation come early? Chapter 73. Xiaohei, stand guard for me. Be careful that some demonic beasts might come and disturb my tribulation. Qin Yu turned around and shouted at Xiaohei. However, Xiaohei flapped its huge wings and cried out continuously. At the same time, It raised its head and stared at the purple tribulation clouds in the sky. Faint flames actually emerged from Xiaohei's body. Xiaohei was emitting an unprecedented aura presence. Hearing Xiaohei's eagle cry, and looking at the rolling purple tribulation clouds in the sky, Qin Yu had an epiphany. He stared at Xiaohei in disbelief and said, "Could it be? You are going to transcend tribulation?" Xiaohei flapped its wings proudly, and cried out continuously. Qin Yu immediately shouted angrily, "Xiaohei, don't show off here. Hurry up, and get ready to receive the heavenly tribulation. I will stand guard for you. I am worried that some demonic beasts might come and disturb your tribulation." Qin Yu didn't dare to be careless. The energy in his body started to seep into every part of his body like beads. Qin Yu's skin was faintly glowing with a purple jade halo. With such a huge commotion caused by the heavenly tribulation, some of the nearby demonic beasts would definitely know. If some formidable demonic beasts came, it would be dangerous. It was taboo to be disturbed while transcending tribulation. TSK. TSK. The tribulation cloud is rolling non-stop. Electric snakes are wriggling in the tribulation cloud. Suddenly, an enormous pressure is generated from the tribulation cloud and presses down on the ground. In an instant, the pressure in the entire space below has increased by a lot. Qin Yu feels that even breathing has become a lot harder. Not good. It seems to be even more powerful than the previous tribulation of King Father. Could it be that different people or demonic beasts would face different heavenly tribulations? Qin Yu was shocked. Qin Yu clearly remembered the pressure of the tribulation clouds when his King Father was transcending tribulation. However, this time, it was much more powerful than the previous one. Going against heavens will naturally be punished by heaven and earth. That was why there was heavenly tribulation. The more formidable one's cultivation was, the more powerful the heavenly tribulation would be. Boom! With a loud clap of thunder, a thick purple bolt of lightning shot out of the tribulation clouds like a dragon. Then, with an indomitable aura, it charged down in a straight line. It was as if it could kill any god or demon that blocked its path. Its power was obviously greater. Qin Yu's spiritual sense spread out completely, covering a radius of 1,000 meters. At this moment, Qin Yu was most worried that some demonic beasts would come and disturb Xiaohei's tribulation. Xiaohei spread its wings and let out an eagle's cry that shook the heavens and earth. At the same time, it opened its beak and actually swallowed the purple lightning in one gulp. In an instant, the entire purple lightning dragon was swallowed by Xiaohei. At the same time, serpents of electricity flickered across Xiaohei's body. This. Qin Yu looked at all of this in shock. The first bolt of heavenly lightning was actually swallowed by Xiaohei. Tribulation transcendence was to resist heavenly lightning. Qin Yu had never heard of anyone swallowing heavenly lightning in one gulp. Looking at Xiaohei's appearance, it seemed to be quite happy eating it as it cried out proudly. Rolling thunder rumbled, and the purple tribulation clouds rolled even more wildly. Serpents of electricity flickered rapidly. After a while, the aura became even stronger. Obviously, the second bolt of heavenly lightning was about to descend. Suddenly, a serpentine lightning bolt rushed down from the sky at an extremely fast speed, directly striking down on Xiaohei's head. Boom! Xiaohei's wings closed, forming a protective cover of electricity. Streaks of electricity flickered outside the wings. The thunderbolt struck Xiaohei's wings with a loud bang. The protective cover flickered with electricity at an extremely fast speed. Unexpectedly, nearly half of the thunderbolt was deflected along the protective cover, while the rest of the thunderbolt was blocked by Xiaohei's wings. How hard are Xiaohei's wings? Qin Yu himself was not sure. They were at least stronger than Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu's expression suddenly changed. His holy sense discovered that in the forest not far away, there were blue fire wolves running towards them at an extremely fast speed. At first glance, he saw dozens of blue fire wolves running out of the forest, directly charging towards Qin Yu and Xiaohei. Since Qin Yu and Xiaohei came to the untainted land, naturally they had killed many blue fire wolves. These blue fire wolves were also very cunning. They only attacked at this moment. Howl! Loud wolf howls constantly resounded. Numerous blue fire wolves rushed out of the forest in an unending stream. In just a short while, Qin Yu discovered that there were already more than 100 blue fire wolves rushing towards him. Moreover, more blue fire wolves were constantly emerging from the forest. Damn it! Don't tell me all the blue fire wolves are coming. Qin Yu stared at the blue fire wolves rushing towards them from afar. He was very anxious. There were more than 1,000 blue fire wolves in the forest. Moreover, even the weakest blue fire wolves were in the Xiantian realm. The strongest blue fire wolves had reached the limit of the Xiantian realm. Once this pack of blue fire wolves attacked, as long as there were nearly 100 of them, even Qin Yu would be injured. Once several hundred of them attacked, Qin Yu would be miserable. There are so many blue fire wolves. I can't stop them in a short time. If Xiao Hei's tribulation is disturbed, then Qin Yu became anxious. Once dozens of blue fire wolves attacked, no matter how powerful Qin Yu was, he could only block a few of them at the same time. Xiao Hei was about to undergo his tribulation. Just now it was only the first and second lightning that were weaker. The truly powerful third and fourth lightning had not even appeared yet. If Xiao Hei was attacked by the blue fire wolves, then it would be terrible. This pack of wolves is taking advantage of the situation. Qin Yu shouted angrily. 108 chi pillars surrounded his body at the same time, forming a tricolored armor. Qin Yu moved his body and used the 7 stars of the Big Dipper moonlight dance. His entire body was like the shadow of the moon, ethereal and unreal. In an instant, he arrived in the middle of the pack of wolves. Qin Yu's body emitted a purple jade light. The flaming gloves completely appeared. Now was not the time to hide his strength. Kacha! Qin Yu used his left hand to crush the throat of a blue fire wolf. Then, his right hand moved like a flood dragon coming out of its cave. His right hand, which had the strongest penetrating power, pierced through the flaming gloves and pierced the head of a blue fire wolf. Bang! A big hole appeared in the head of that blue fire wolf. The inside of the head was shattered. The first 100 over blue fire wolves that appeared completely surrounded Qin Yu and attacked him crazily. Roar! The strongest wolf among the 100 over blue fire wolves surrounding him howled. Immediately, all the blue fire wolves stopped attacking. In just a moment, Qin Yu killed over 10 blue fire wolves. However, there were traces of blood on Qin Yu's body. Those blue fire wolves' claws were too powerful. What are these blue fire wolves doing? Qin Yu looks at the blue flame wolves around him. This group of over 100 blue flame wolves have surrounded him in 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside, but they do not attack him. Blue fire wolves were still constantly rushing out from the forest. In just a short while, including the blue fire wolves that were attacking Qin Yu, the total number of blue fire wolves had reached 300 to 400. This time, the blue fire wolves were clearly preparing to finish the job once and for all. They wanted to eliminate Qin Yu and the Black Eagle. Over 100 blue fire wolves surrounded Qin Yu. The other blue fire wolves ignored Qin Yu and directly rushed towards Xiao Hei. Not good. Qin Yu knew that things were not good. He was currently completely surrounded by the blue fire wolves and was unable to protect Xiao Hei. Furthermore, Xiao Hei was undergoing his tribulation. How could Xiao Hei be at ease while facing the attacks of over 100 blue fire wolves? Even during normal times, it would be very dangerous for Xiao Hei to face over 100 blue fire wolves at the same time, let alone now. Scram! Qin Yu clenched his teeth. The energy in his body completely erupted. With a furious shout, he transformed into a bolt of lightning and directly rushed towards Xiao Hei. At the same time, Aoo, the leader of the blue fire wolves, howled. The over 100 blue fire wolves changed from their original state of encirclement to a state of frenzied attack. Over 100 blue fire wolves recklessly attacked Qin Yu from all directions. Clawing, biting, tearing. They used everything they had. For a moment, Qin Yu only felt that the sky was covered by wolf shadows from all directions. Countless wolf claws were waving at Qin Yu's body. 108 tricolored energy pillars revolved around his body. Within the range of the energy pillars, Qin Yu's entire body suddenly transformed into numerous illusions. Qin Yu's hands were also like the 1,000-hand guanyin. They were either fingers, fists, claws, iron fists, or palm blades. Boom! The dozens of blue fire wolves closest to Qin Yu all flew away in all directions with a loud rumble. At the same time, they separated the other blue fire wolves. At this moment, Qin Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at the surrounding blue fire wolves. At the same time, his spiritual awareness was also paying attention to his surroundings. The blue flame wolves in the surroundings attacked Qin Yu even more crazily. Qin Yu's close combat skills have been performed to the extreme. The flaming gloves are even more powerful. With a punch, even a blue flame wolf's head will be smashed into pieces. With the sound of bones shattering, a blue fire wolf's throat was broken, and it fell to the ground. It even howled for a while. His leg was like a knife. With a knife kick, he directly chopped off the spine of a blue fire wolf, causing it to fall to the ground and unable to get up again. Qin Yu's figure moved within a 3-step radius, creating numerous illusions. Although the range was small, those blue fire wolves were often just a little bit weaker. After continuously killing dozens of blue fire wolves, Qin Yu's clothes were torn, and a wound even appeared on his chest. Blood slowly flowed out. Blue fire wolves were also divided into the strong and the weak. The strong had reached the limit of the Xiantian level. Qin Yu did not dare to block that claw. The wound on Qin Yu's chest was caused by a blue fire wolf that was around the late stage of the Xiantian level. Of course, the ending of this blue fire wolf was needless to say. Its head was directly chopped off by Qin Yu. Scram! Qin Yu once again released the purple Zhenqi in his body. In an instant his speed increased exponentially. Once again, he killed or crippled the dozens of blue fire wolves closest to him. For a moment, those blue fire wolves paused slightly and actually stopped attacking. Xiaohei. Qin Yu noticed Xiaohei's situation and immediately became anxious. More than 100 blue fire wolves pounced towards Xiaohei, as if their lives depended on it. Rumble. The purple tribulation cloud rolled rapidly. Its imposing aura seemed to be substantial and oppressive. Qin Yu knew that the third tribulation lightning was about to strike. But at this moment, more than 100 blue fire wolves actually took the opportunity to attack Xiaohei. Xiaohei raised his head and let out a cry. Suddenly, he flapped his huge wings and unexpectedly formed a strong whirlwind that sent those blue fire wolves flying back. However, these blue fire wolves were not ordinary wolves. Each and every one of them was a Xiantian-level demon beast from the wilderness. These blue fire wolves somersaulted in the air and landed on the ground. Then, they once again pounced towards Xiaohei while howling and biting. Xiaohei flapped his wings and soared into the sky, flying dozens of meters high. Those blue fire wolves also jumped up. Although they were powerful, they could only jump 7 or 8 meters. They were far from Xiaohei's height. Boom! A huge purple thunderbolt emerged from the tribulation cloud and directly struck down towards Xiaohei. Not good. Qin Yu's complexion changed. He had read some important points about tribulation transcendence in Lei Wei's collection. Tribulation transcendence in the air was much more dangerous than tribulation transcendence on the ground. But a black eagle was a bird and not a human. Maybe it would be better. But Qin Yu was also uncertain. Xiaohei let out a mournful cry. His wings flashed with dazzling lightning. His wings directly closed together and formed a shield to block the tribulation lightning. Boom! The purple thunderbolt was like the hammer of Thor. With a loud bang, it smashed Xiaohei's wings. Xiaohei flew in a straight line, and with a pung sound, he was smashed to the ground from the sky, causing the ground to shake. This third tribulation lightning was much more powerful than the second tribulation lightning. Xiaohei was only able to dissipate a small portion of the lightning. He was still forced to endure the majority of it. Xiaohei. Qin Yu was shocked. Ewo. The blue fire wolf leader standing proudly on a huge rock by the lake continuously howled. The blue fire wolves in the mountain forest were still constantly rushing out, as if there was no end. At this moment, the number of blue fire wolves rushing out had already reached 600 to 700. Following the howls of the blue fire wolf leader, close to 400 blue fire wolves surrounded Qin Yu. Another 200 to 300 attacked Xiaohei. Several hundred blue fire wolves howled and pounced towards the black eagle that had fallen to the ground. In an instant, several dozen blue fire wolves pounced on the black eagle's body, revealing their sharp fangs and starting to bite. 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. Several hundred blue fire wolves had completely surrounded Qinyu. Qinyu was completely unable to escape from this encirclement. The strangest thing was that these several hundred blue fire wolves only surrounded Qinyu and did not attack. Xiaohei, seeing countless wolves pouncing towards Xiaohei, Qinyu's heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. Xiaohei was Qinyu's best friend. From childhood until now, Qinyu had spent most of his time with Xiaohei. Qinyu swept his gaze over the several hundred blue fire wolves, his killing intent surging. Suddenly, a sharp eagle's cry soared into the sky. Streaks of purple lightning completely exploded, flowing between the bodies of the blue fire wolves that were pouncing on Blackie's body. Only a series of mournful howls could be heard, and those blue fire wolves started to twitch. Then with a boom, Blackie's huge wings flapped, and dozens of blue fire wolves were blown away. Xiaohei looked towards Qinyu, his pair of eagle eyes emitting human emotions. Qinyu could clearly feel Xiaohei's emotions. Haha. Xiaohei, don't worry, it's just a few hundred wolf pups. Don't worry about your tribulation, I'll exterminate them. Qinyu's heroic spirit soared to the heavens. It's been a long time since I felt my blood boil like this. Qinyu's entire body was surging with energy. The blue fire wolf leader also seemed to feel that something was wrong. It immediately howled, and several hundred blue fire wolves immediately attacked Qinyu like moths to a flame. Lu Xing's tears, please, Qinyu secretly said in his heart. The wound on Qinyu's chest just now had completely healed in a short while, leaving only a faint scar. Lu Xing's tears' ability to heal injuries was what Qinyu relied on the most. Qinyu's entire body began to move. After images, fist shadows, leg shadows, sword shadows. Wherever the shadows passed, the blue fire wolves would howl and fall to the ground. They would either die or roll around and howl. With 108 streams of air surrounding his body, Qinyu's speed combined with his body movements had already reached a terrifying level. His killing moves were as light as a feather. A light tap of his finger, or a casual slash of the flaming sword were all fatal moves. Awoo! The blue fire wolf leader howled even more urgently. The several hundred blue fire wolves increased their speed as they crazily tore at Qinyu. The death of their companions and the blood of their companions would only make them crazier. They didn't care about their own lives. These blue fire wolves only wanted to leave scars on Qinyu's body. Using both the flaming gloves and the flaming sword, Qinyu unleashed his strongest attack. Poochie! A blue fire wolf clawed Qinyu's abdomen, and blood immediately gushed out. Poochie! A sword shadow flashed past, and that blue fire wolf's head fell to the ground. It's actually a peak Xiantian blue fire wolf. Its attack power is almost the same as that of the blue fire wolf leader. Qinyu immediately hit his acupoints, trying his best to slow down the blood flow in his body. However, the wound on his abdomen was really too big, and with so many blue fire wolves attacking him without any regard for their lives, he simply didn't have time to heal it. Xiaohei let out a mournful eagle cry, and there were also 200 to 300 blue fire wolves around it. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Thunder rumbled, and a wave of pressure once again covered the area. Even the blue fire wolves slowed down a bit. Obviously, the fourth bolt of lightning of the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation was about to descend. Xiaohei couldn't care about anything else, and could only soar into the air to prepare for the fourth bolt of lightning. Chapter 74. A cool and refreshing feeling came from the wound on his abdomen. Streams of clear water flowed out from the Lu Xing's tears and merged into the wound. Qinyu's wound was recovering at a visible speed, and the bleeding rate also began to slow down. This pack of wolf pups is really hard to deal with. Qinyu cursed in a low voice, and his attacks became even more ruthless. He simply didn't dare to stop fighting, and his speed had completely reached the limit. He kept moving, and at the same time, used the flaming gloves and flaming sword to kill these blue fire wolves. The flaming gloves and flaming sword a mid-grade spirit weapon, were extremely powerful. Just now, there were 400 to 500 blue fire wolves surrounding Qinyu. But in a short period of time, Qinyu had already killed over 100 blue fire wolves. Awa, awa, awa. The blue fire wolf leader howled again. Immediately, all the blue fire wolves surrounded Qinyu, and blue fire wolves continued to emerge from the mountain forest. The number of blue fire wolves kept increasing, and now there were over 800 of them. In addition, Qinyu had already killed over 100 blue fire wolves. In other words, this time, the entire blue fire wolf tribe in the mountain forest was probably mobilized. Pucci, feeling a burning sensation on his back, Qinyu's spiritual sense clearly discovered that his back was cut open. Immediately, his body flashed, and his right hand simply waved his sword. That blue fire wolf immediately held a few times and fell to the ground, and Qinyu's figure once again moved several meters away. Speed. Speed. When surrounded, he could only rely on his speed to constantly move, and try his best to keep the number of enemies to a small number at a time. Once he stopped moving, with so many blue fire wolves charging at him, Qinyu wouldn't be able to do anything no matter how powerful he was. Pucci, 2 consecutive wounds appeared on Qinyu's abdomen. A blue fire wolf fiercely bit Qinyu's abdomen. Qinyu's left hand formed a knife, and the purple zhenqi formed a sharp blade on the edge of Qinyu's palm. With a chop, Qinyu directly chopped off the blue fire wolf's head. However, the blue fire wolf's teeth were still biting Qinyu's abdomen, causing Qinyu to feel a burst of intense pain. Blood continuously flowed out. Qinyu simply did not have the time to cut off the blue fire wolf's head. After all, they were surrounded by blue fire wolves. What? The blue fire wolf leader seemed to have foreseen the arrival of victory, and immediately howled loudly. Immediately, dozens of blue fire wolves leapt into the air, directly pouncing towards Qinyu from above. Those sharp wolf fangs and ice-cold claws directly greeted Qinyu's body, while the dozens of blue fire wolves on the ground simultaneously attacked Qinyu. In all directions he could not ascend to the heavens, unable to penetrate the earth. Ha! A hint of viciousness flashed through Qinyu's eyes. Wearing the flaming gloves, his pair of invincible iron fists completely impacted Qinyu's fastest speed. In a split second, Qinyu's hands seemed to have turned into dozens of hands, eagle claws, finger swords. Bang! A hole appeared in the throat of a blue fire wolf that leapt into the air. Blood spurted out in all directions like a fountain, and the entire battlefield was completely filled with the smell of blood. One of the blue fire wolf's legs was actually grabbed by Qinyu. Qinyu let out a low roar, and as if he was waving a whip, he grabbed the blue fire wolf's leg and fiercely swung it a few times. Then, the purple zhenqi in his body was completely poured into Qinyu's single hand, and the strength of over 10,000 jin that came from the peak of the Xiantian realm completely erupted. Qinyu threw this half-dead blue fire wolf out like a weapon. Bang! The purple zhenqi and the strength of over 10,000 jin exploded, and the blue fire wolf's body exploded. Every piece of flesh and bone shot out in all directions like a hidden weapon. The blue fire wolves howled, and at the same time, a group of blue fire wolves was smashed down. However, even more blue fire wolves crazily bit Qinyu, and the wounds on Qinyu's body continued to increase. Fortunately, he had Lu Xing's tears. Some of the smaller wounds quickly formed scabs, but the larger wounds needed a period of time to heal. No matter how powerful Lu Xing's tears were, they couldn't compare to the continuous attacks of so many blue fire wolves. In midair, Xiaohe saw that Qinyu was surrounded and attacked by several hundred blue fire wolves. His entire body was covered in blood, and there was a shocking wound on his abdomen. He couldn't help but let out a mournful cry. However, the crazily rolling tribulation clouds and the terrifying aura all indicated that the 4th tribulation lightning was about to descend. Boom! The purple lightning was like a winding dragon in the 9 heavens. It rushed down from the tribulation clouds in the sky, carrying an aura that could destroy heaven and earth as it brazenly blasted towards Xiaohe. Suddenly, a shocking eagle cry sounded. The sound was extremely ear-piercing, but there was an arrogant and domineering aura. That aura actually caused the 600 to 700 blue fire wolves to pause. Qin Yu's spiritual sense was constantly observing Xiao He. Facing the fourth tribulation lightning, Xiao He's steel-like wings emitted streaks of thunder fire. This so-called thunder fire was not a combination of lightning and fire. Instead, it was a flickering lightning with a burning flame surrounding it. Dazzling thunder fire emerged from Xiao He's body and condensed into one. Like half of a flood dragon, it soared into the sky and collided with the fourth tribulation lightning. Boom! The thunder fire dispersed, but the power of the fourth tribulation lightning was also greatly reduced. In that instant, Xiao He's wings actually began to vibrate at an extremely fast speed. Qin Yu's spiritual sense clearly discovered that Xiao He's wings had unexpectedly turned into 9 afterimages. Pung! 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 9 consecutive collisions. The frequency of Xiao He's wings was so fast that even Qin Yu was extremely shocked. After 9 collisions, the fourth tribulation lightning, which was greatly reduced in power, was almost completely neutralized. The remaining lightning was directly swallowed by Xiao He. The 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation, Xiao He had successfully passed. When did Xiao He become so strong? Qin Yu was indescribably shocked. Qin Yu was very clear that Xiao He had always been following him. Xiao He did not have any special skills. In that instant just now, not only did Xiao He use thunder fire, he also used an extremely brilliant skill. In that instant his wings vibrated 9 times. One must know that the time was extremely short. Poochie! Qin Yu felt another wave of intense pain on his back. Just now, he was slightly distracted and was unexpectedly hit again. This pack of wolf pups! Qin Yu cursed angrily in his heart. Now that Xiao He had successfully passed the tribulation, Qin Yu was also relieved. At this moment he wholeheartedly immersed himself in the battle. His speed actually increased slightly again. Within the pack of hundreds of blue fire wolves, blood splattered everywhere, and broken limbs flew everywhere. Suddenly, an eagle's cry soared into the sky. Xiao He, who had just passed the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation, spread out his wings and swooped down with extreme speed. When he was about to approach the pack of blue fire wolves again, Xiao He's wings once again vibrated extremely slightly. Like a lightning zigzag. Swish! Even Qin Yu could only see a continuous flash of black light. Then dozens of blue fire wolves were cut into 2 or 3 pieces. These blue fire wolves were sliced apart, as if they were cut by a sharp knife. All the blue fire wolves were stunned. Xiao He! Qin Yu was astonished. Xiao He flew high in the sky and once again let out a cry. Once again, he used the supreme skill from before. This time, Qin Yu observed very carefully with his spiritual awareness. He clearly saw that Xiao He's wings rapidly vibrated according to a miraculous trajectory. Like a flash of black lightning, Xiao He directly passed through the pack of blue fire wolves. Xiao He's wings were very hard. Now they had even reached the level of a spiritual weapon. The wings were like sharp knives. When they flew past, they directly cut the blue fire wolves into several pieces. Ao ao! The blue fire wolf leader immediately let out a loud cry. This blue fire wolf leader's intelligence was not low. It could see that the black eagle, which was originally a threat, had undergone a transformation after the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation. The black eagle could fly, but the blue fire wolves could not. The black eagle only needed to swoop down a dozen times to kill hundreds of blue fire wolves. Following the howl of the blue fire wolf leader, the hundreds of blue fire wolves immediately retreated rapidly, one by one running directly into the mountain forest. Whoosh! Whoosh! Like a glider, Xiao He rapidly passed through the pack of blue fire wolves twice in a row, causing the deaths of nearly 100 blue fire wolves. Then, these blue fire wolves all escaped into the mountain forest. The original battlefield was left with 400 to 500 blue fire wolves' corpses. Xiao He let out another cry, as if it was about to rush into the mountain forest. Xiao He, no need to chase. Qin Yu's facial muscles twitched slightly. At this moment, Qin Yu's body was covered with over 100 wounds. However, most of them were just superficial wounds. There were 4 or 5 wounds that were especially serious. Fortunately, Lu Xing's tears continuously released streams of clear water to heal them. Xiaohei flapped its wings and flew across the lake. Then it landed beside Qinyu. Xiaohei stared at Qinyu's wounds and seemed to be a little worried. It's nothing, just some superficial wounds. I didn't die even after my heart was pierced. This little wound is nothing. Let's go back and take a rest. Qinyu laughed out loud. Then, he immediately returned to Lei Mountain House with Xiaohei, leaving behind the corpses of the Blue Fire Wolves. In this battle, Qinyu had killed 300 to 400 Blue Fire Wolves. Qinyu was an external expert who had reached the pinnacle of the Xiantian realm. He had practiced the Trans-Heaven 3 diagrams to the pinnacle. His muscles were as tough as diamond. In addition, his purple Zhenqi had formed a protective aura around his body. Therefore, ordinary Blue Fire Wolves in the early and middle stages of the Xiantian realm could only leave some superficial wounds on Qinyu's body and restrict Qinyu's movements. Only Blue Fire Wolves in the late and pinnacle stages of the Xiantian realm could really hurt Qinyu. Moreover, Qinyu was an expert in group battles. In addition, he had 2 middle-grade spirit weapons and Lu Xing's tears, which were constantly healing his wounds. It was normal for him to have such a battle record. In the training hall of Lei Mountain House, Qinyu sat cross-legged on the ground and meditated. Xiaohei was also standing beside him. The wings on his body were emitting rays of light. Obviously, he was meditating. After half an hour, the numerous wounds on Qinyu's body had almost all disappeared. Even the huge wounds on his body were now only a few faint scars. Lu Xing's tears were indeed miraculous. As the clear stream flowed through his body, a numbing feeling was constantly produced in those wounds. Qinyu enjoyed that feeling. After such a crazy battle, Qinyu felt that his purple Zhenqi had become purer. Hello, hello. A slightly stuttering and cold voice suddenly sounded in Qinyu's mind. Qinyu was shocked. Someone's here. He immediately opened his eyes and looked around. Suddenly, he found that Xiaohei was staring at him. His eyes were full of excitement. Qinyu's heart skipped a beat. He thought of a possibility, but he found it hard to believe. Xiaohei, is that you? Qinyu stood up and looked at Xiaohei in disbelief. Yes, it's me. I've given myself a name. I'm called Kuro. Xiaohei was a little nervous at first, but then he felt better. He named himself Kuro because Qinyu's name was Yu. Haha, great, great. Qinyu's eyes were shining with excitement. He then hugged Xiaohei and said, From now on, we can communicate freely. That's great. Haha, Xiaohei, I'm 7 years older than you. Call me Big Brother. Haha, quickly call me Big Brother. Qinyu said excitedly. Xiaohei was also a little excited. After a long time, he finally said with his spiritual sense, Big Brother. Qinyu and Xiaohei were also excited for a long time. Then Qinyu began to ask some doubts in his heart. Xiaohei, why did your voice sound in my mind? Also, when you were crossing the tribulation, why did you suddenly become so powerful? I don't remember you being so powerful in the past. Qinyu was very curious. Right. I remember that after crossing the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation, many demon beasts can transform into a human. Why didn't you? Xiaohei was stunned. Qinyu knew that he asked too many questions. He immediately said, Don't worry, tell me one by one. Xiaohei thought for a while and said, I just reached the Jin Dan stage. Naturally, I have the ability to transmit my spiritual sense. Unfortunately, I need to cross the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation to transform into a human. Also, when I was crossing the tribulation, many demon beast cultivation methods that are suitable for me suddenly appeared in my mind. Some of the most basic ones, I naturally used them. You can only transform into a human after crossing the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation? Qinyu was surprised. He also read some cultivation books. The more powerful the demon beast, the harder it is to transform into a human. Some weak demon beasts can easily transform into a human. It seems that Xiaohei should be a relatively powerful demon beast. Unfortunately, Qinyu didn't know what Xiaohei's first sentence meant. A suitable cultivation method will naturally appear in my mind. If it was a knowledgeable cultivator, he might know the meaning of inherited memory. Can you only transmit your spiritual sense? Can you not speak? Qinyu asked. Xiaohei shook his head helplessly and said, I can't. My throat is different from a human's. It's very difficult for me to speak human language. I can only transmit my spiritual sense. But isn't it very good to transmit my spiritual sense? I can say it as soon as I think about it. It's much faster. Qin Yu could only nod his head. Well, Xiaohei, you first stay in Thunder Mountain residence and cultivate. There are still more than 2 months before I'm going to cross the tribulation. During this time, I have to cultivate seriously, Qin Yu said to Xiaohei. Xiaohei repeatedly nodded his head. He transmitted his spiritual sense. Big brother, don't worry and cultivate. I've just reached the Jin Dan stage. I also have a lot of things to do. Xiaohei had a lot of suitable cultivation methods in his mind. Naturally, he had to study them well. Qin Yu was also quietly cultivating in Thunder Mountain residence, waiting for the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation in more than 2 months. Time passed day by day. Xiaohei and Qin Yu didn't pay attention to what was happening outside. They just focused on cultivating. The surroundings of Thunder Mountain residence were also very quiet. The Blue Fire Wolves didn't dare to come here again. On the contrary, at the moment, the Chu Kingdom on the Qianlong continent was surging with undercurrents. Chapter 75. Haha. The heavens are helping me. The heavens are helping me. This is really very good. Very good. Holding the secret letter in his hand, the Chu Emperor Xiangguang is so excited that he is unable to control himself. The hook-nosed man on one side also says respectfully, the heavens want to destroy the Qin clan. After all, you're the true son of heaven. At the moment Xiangguang is in high spirits. Qinda, oh Qinda, you've been smart all your life but you've been defeated by me several times. In the end, even your Qin clan's several hundred years of foundation will be ruined. Normally, even if Xiangguang is given a lot of courage, he would not dare to wantonly start a war. After all, the Qin clan has many troops. Moreover, they have been training on the edge of the wilderness for many years, so the troops of the other 3 big clans cannot compare with them. Your Majesty, this time North Vanquishing Prince and Qinda have a secret meeting. Qinda wants to dispatch 300,000 troops from North Vanquishing Prince's territory to attack us. 300,000 troops? Do you think North Vanquishing Prince will be defeated by Qinda's troops when he changes sides? Qinda's troops are still very powerful. The hook-nosed man says in a low voice. That secret letter is sent by Shengguanhong. It talks about the recent meeting between him and Qinda, as well as the contents of the meeting. Xiangguang ponders for a while then says smilingly, don't worry. The Shengguan clan has a very deep relationship with my Xiang clan. Moreover, Qinda's troops have entered North Vanquishing Prince's territory, so he won't be able to do anything. At that time, I'll send my Xiang clan's troops to attack him from both inside and outside with the Shengguan clan. Humph, once the 300,000 troops are destroyed, the Qin clan will lose half of its troops. Right. I asked you to rope in the Blackwater bandits. How's it going? The hook-nosed man hurriedly says. Your Majesty, when those Blackwater bandits heard that Your Majesty agreed to their request, they made me swear an oath of blood. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Once they swear an oath of blood, these Jianghu people will attach great importance to it. Xiangguang immediately gives a satisfied smile. Very good. With the Blackwater bandits in the Qin clan's territory, those 200,000 troops of the Qin clan won't be able to move. Otherwise, their nest will be in chaos. Even if they recruit 200,000 more troops, they'll only be able to use 600,000 troops. Humph, what's the use of the fierce tiger troops? Let's see how the Qin clan's troops to fight against me then. Your Majesty is wise. The hook-nosed man bowed. Xiangguang nods his head in satisfaction and says, very good. This time you did very well in roping in those Blackwater bandits. I'll reward you if you make a contribution. I heard you like Yin Shiji's paintings, so I'll give you this painting of mother and son. While saying, Xiangguang takes the scroll from the table and hands it directly to the hook-nosed man. Thank you for your grace, Your Majesty. The hook-nosed man immediately took the painting. All right, go ahead. Xiangguang says with a wave of his sleeve. At the moment, Xiang Guang is in a particularly good mood. Seeing the hook-nosed man leave, Xiang Guang says again. Right, if you have time, you should take a look at this mother and son painting to comprehend the essence of Master Yin Shiji's painting. Yes, the hook-nosed man replied immediately, and walked out of the imperial study. On the way home, the hook-nosed man sneered in his heart. A picture of mother and child? Xiang Guangxin is too ruthless. What the hook-nosed man values the most is his wife and child, so he naturally understands why Xiang Guang gave him this picture of mother and child. With a grim expression, Zhao Yunqing looks at the military map on the wall. General, a young man bows behind Zhao Yunqing and says, What's the matter? Zhao Yunqing says indifferently. That young man says, General, His Highness ordered us to enter the 2 northern region counties together with another army. I think it's somewhat inappropriate. What's inappropriate? A faint smile appears on the corners of Zhao Yunqing's mouth, but he still does not turn around. That young man straightens his body at once and says, His Highness negotiated with the Shangguan clan, and let us enter the Shangguan clan's territory to attack the Xiang clan. But is the Shangguan clan really on our side? If the Shangguan clan pretends to be on our side, but is actually on the Xiang clan's side, then things will be terrible. After all, the 2 northern region counties are the Shangguan clan's territory. Could it be that you think His Highness hasn't thought of this point? Zhao Yunqing asks in reply. That young man says at once, Of course His Highness has thought of this point. But the Mu clan in the 3 southern region counties is extremely loyal to the Xiang clan. When the 2 clans unite, they have more than half of the Chu kingdom's military power. His Highness has no choice but to rely on North vanquishing Prince. I think even though His Highness has thought of this point, he has been forced by the situation to cooperate with the Shangguan clan. But when the war starts and the Shangguan clan changes sides, we'll be miserable. Yen Yun, His Highness's point of view is different from yours. His Highness overlooks the whole situation, so everything is under his control. If His Highness wants to start a war, how can such a trivial matter be difficult for him? After 2 months, you'll naturally understand everything. Zhao Yunqing turns around and says smilingly. A faint relaxed smile immediately appears on the young man's face. Since His Highness has the pearl of wisdom in his hands, I can set my mind at ease. All right, Yin Yun, you can go back first. Zhao Yunqing says smilingly. Yes. The young man turns around and leaves. When he reaches the door, he stops. He turns around and looks at Zhao Yunqing, saying in a low voice, Father, it's already midnight. You'd better go to bed early. A war is imminent. Your health is more important. After saying so, the young man leaves. Hearing this, a faint smile appears on Zhao Yunqing's face. Even though Zhao Yunqing's son Zhao Yunqing is also in the army, he has ordered that father and son are only superior and subordinate in the army. Therefore, Zhao Yinyun usually calls him General Zhao Yunqing. With the war imminent, the Qin clan and the Xiang clan secretly fight each other. Their spies and intelligence personnel are also fully active. Some of them secretly bribe some important personnel with a large sum of money, frame the enemy's generals, or assassinate important members of the enemy. They are very familiar with sowing dissension and seducing women. Following the mobilization of the Qin clan's army on the border of the wilderness, the whole Chu kingdom is shrouded in a layer of oppression. The Qin clan tried to rope in the Blackwater Mountain Range bandits by giving them a large sum of money, but the Blackwater bandits unexpectedly accepted it. However, the Xiang clan is not angry at all about this. Moreover, the Heavenly Net, the #1 assassin organization, has also announced to the public that it will not accept any missions related to the Chu kingdom for the time being. In short, almost everybody can feel the oppression of the coming storm. Perhaps Qin Yu, who is quietly practicing in the wilderness, cannot feel this kind of atmosphere. On the blue water lake next to Lei Mountain House, Qin Yu is sitting with legs crossed on the water, but does not sink down. Various purple streams of air are revolving around his body. These purple streams of air are none other than the purple internal qi inside Qin Yu's body. After several months of practice, Qin Yu's purple Xiantian internal qi is like mercury, almost liquefied. A powerful force is surging inside his body. Qin can feel the surging muscle energy in his muscles, and even in his cells. The purple internal qi is circulating everywhere, constantly purifying his muscles and bones. Suddenly a wind blows, causing waves to appear on the surface of the lake. The lake water rises and falls slightly. Qin is sitting with legs crossed on the surface of the lake, but his body rises and falls with the lake water like duckweed. A fierce wind blows. With a boom, huge waves appear on the surface of the lake. Each wave is more than 10 m high. The entire lake looks like it has been raised by a giant. No matter how powerful Qin is, he is no longer as free and easy as before. He immediately pushes the surface of the lake with his feet and rushes directly to the lakeside. At the same time, he stares helplessly at Xiaohe, the initiator of this. Xiaohe, I know your wings can raise fierce winds, but don't play tricks on me, okay? Qin stares at Xiaohe, who is flapping his wings, and says helplessly. Xiaohe folds his wings. The lake water immediately calms down. Xiaohe, who has formed the Jin Dan and practiced several kinds of martial arts from his inherited memories, has become even more arrogant and fierce. Now Qin is far from being a match for Xiaohe. Big brother, I'm just training your vigilance. I'm doing this for your own good. Are you blaming me for this? Xiaohe's voice rang out in Qin mind. Qin jokingly said, Fine. Now that you have passed the heavenly tribulation, you are stronger than me. I won't fight with you. Tomorrow night, I will also undergo the heavenly tribulation. Once I pass the heavenly tribulation and cultivate the astral transformations, I will let you know how powerful I am. Astral transformations? Big brother, I have many mystical martial arts that I practice. They are not inferior to your astral transformations. Xiaohe proudly flaps his wings and says, After forming the Jin Dan, Xiaohe has been practicing some secret techniques for the past 2 months. His strength has increased by leaps and bounds. At this moment he is very confident. Qin smiles. When the time comes, won't we know who is more powerful? During this period of time, Qin has carefully read many books about cultivation. Of course, he has read the astral transformations from beginning to end. Not only have he memorized some of the incantations and cultivation methods, but he has also memorized some of the insights that Lei Wei had when he was practicing or undergoing the heavenly tribulation. Qin has become more confident about the upcoming 49 heavenly tribulations. On the second day, Qin has been quietly sitting cross-legged on the grassland by the Jade Lake, waiting for the arrival of the heavenly tribulation. On this day, Xiaohe also did not disturb Qin, but practiced peacefully on the side. Last time, Qin protected him. This time, he will protect Qin. Under the setting sun, the whole untainted land was illuminated with a bright red color. A fierce wind rises out of nowhere. The huge trees in the mountain forest in the surroundings start to sway crazily. Their leaves also fall down in all directions. Kacha! Sounds of huge trees breaking are also heard continuously. The sky darkens in an instant. The great change in the weather makes Qin and Xiaohe stop practicing. Haha! The heavenly tribulation is finally coming. Xiaohe, this time you watch carefully. If any demonic beasts come, kill them all for me. Qin shouts loudly. Xiaohe flaps his wings and says with his holy sense, Don't worry, big brother. The area within a radius of several hundred miles is my territory. No demonic beasts dare to disturb us. If any demonic beast comes, I will exterminate its clan. During this period of time, the area within a radius of several hundred miles has indeed become Xiaohe's territory. The sky turns dark red, giving people a sense of oppression. A huge whirlpool appears in the middle of the sky. Snakes of lightning appear in the dark red sky and are absorbed by the whirlpool. After a while, the whirlpool stops rotating and turns into a huge purple tribulation cloud. The dark red sky, the purple tribulation cloud, and the flickering snakes of lightning. All of these indicate the arrival of the heavenly tribulation. Qin stands quietly motionless. Xiaohe spreads out his holy sense, paying attention to everything around him. No matter what, he will not allow any demonic beasts to come near and disturb them. How strong would the heavenly tribulation be when a Xiantian external expert cultivates to the extreme? It should be known that the heavenly tribulation is generally different for different people. Qin Yu is much stronger than an ordinary Xiantian peak expert. So how strong would the power of the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation be? The first heavenly tribulation is the weakest and also the easiest. Qin Yu looks up at the tribulation cloud with a smile on his face. He clearly remembers some of Lei Wei's descriptions of heavenly tribulation in stellar transformations, and even proposes some methods of heavenly tribulation. Qin Yu decides to face the first heavenly tribulation with one of the most exaggerated methods. The tribulation cloud rolls, the low thunder rumbles, and the pressure directly covers the ground below. Boom! A purple lightning bolt immediately strikes down from the sky at an extremely fast speed. It strikes down at Qin Yu's head. Qin Yu, however, raises his head and looks at that purple lightning bolt. He is unexpectedly motionless. However, there is a trace of madness in his eyes. The purple thunderbolt blasts directly on Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu's body is completely covered by the purple thunderbolt. Haha, awesome, awesome, awesome. Qin Yu doesn't have any defense, completely withstanding it with his body. If he can't even withstand the first heavenly tribulation with his Xiantian external strength, then his Xiantian external strength is cultivated in vain. The stellar transformations once said that using the power of heavenly tribulation to refine the body is very beneficial for improving one's strength. Of course, the power of heavenly tribulation can't be too strong, otherwise Qin Yu's body can't bear it. His muscles and bones crackle as the thunderbolt shuttles through the muscle cells, and a lot of thunderbolt energy is absorbed. His already strong muscles suddenly change, becoming even stronger. Awesome, really awesome. Xiaohei, how about my method of withstanding the first heavenly tribulation? Qin Yu is still in the mood to joke with Xiaohei. Xiaohei doesn't say anything, but pays attention to the surroundings with his soul sense. Qin Yu withstands the first heavenly tribulation like this. Not only does it not consume the energy in his body, but it also increases the strength of his muscles and his strength. Others have to consume energy for each tribulation, but Qin Yu's strength increases. This is the difference between them. Big brother, be careful. The second heavenly tribulation is much stronger than the first. You can't use the same method again. Xiaohei reminded. At this moment, the tribulation clouds in the sky are rolling. Obviously, the second heavenly tribulation is brewing. The first heavenly tribulation can be absorbed like this, but the second heavenly tribulation is more powerful. Qin Yu doesn't dare to be as arrogant as before, and let the thunderbolt strike him. Don't worry, I know when to stop. Qin Yu can feel Xiaohei's concern. Thunder rumbles, the pressure on the ground increases again. The second heavenly tribulation is about to strike. Qin Yu immediately enters the state of mind and body, preparing to withstand the second heavenly tribulation. Along with the sound of thunder, a purple flood dragon suddenly rushes out of the tribulation clouds, directly towards Qin Yu. Come! A glint of excitement flashed across Qin Yu's eyes, and the energy within his body suddenly surged. His whole body suddenly glowed with purple light, becoming like a purple jade. Purple primary energy instantly covered his whole body, forming a shield of astral energy. Occasionally, strands of lightning would even circle the surface of his body. Chapter 76. The purple heavenly thunder was like the sledgehammer of the thunder god, fiercely smashing Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu's purple protective aura chi was torn apart like paper in just a moment, and the thunder and lightning completely hit Qin Yu's chest. Compared to the first heavenly thunder, Qin Yu's body was completely integrated with the purple true chi this time. Like a purple jade, his defensive power was also increased. At first, the protective aura chi also offset some of the thunder and lightning, but the second heavenly thunder was really a bit more powerful. I was careless. Qin Yu slightly frowned. The smell of cooked meat came, and at the same time, a burst of burning feeling came from his skin. The power of the thunder and lightning burned Qin Yu's skin, and even his muscles were a bit damaged. Big brother. Xiao Hei saw the burn on Qin Yu's chest and couldn't help but feel nervous. It's okay, just a flesh wound. Qin Yu didn't care. Xiao Hei slightly breathed a sigh of relief, and then carefully told him, Big brother, this heavenly tribulation is not a small matter. Don't you have a middle-grade spirit weapon? If you don't use it, even if your body is strong, you will still be injured. Qin Yu slightly smiled and said, I was a bit careless just now. I originally thought that the purple true qi and the protective aura qi could fend it off, but I didn't expect the second heavenly thunder to be even more powerful than I expected. Qin Yu said, but the tears of Lu Xing in his body once again produced a clear stream, flowing through his injured muscles. A burst of comfortable numbness came, and some of the small injuries on his body were instantly healed. With the tears of Lu Xing, Qin Yu dared to do what he did just now. Big brother, your heavenly tribulation is even more powerful than mine. Don't be too careless. Xiao Hei reminded from the side. Qin Yu smiled. He knew that Xiao Hei was concerned about him. With the passage of time, the purple tribulation cloud rolled more and more urgently. Electric snakes constantly darted out, and a violent aura wreaked havoc in a radius of dozens of miles. The third heavenly thunder was constantly accumulating, and the purple zhenqi in Qin Yu's body was stirred up again. Boom! A purple dragon flew out of the tribulation cloud and rushed towards Qin Yu. The heavenly thunder's aura was really frightening, making people feel oppressed. Haha! Qin Yu bursts out laughing. His eyes shine brightly as he stares at the purple thunderbolt that is striking down. At the same time, his right fist smashes at the thunderbolt extremely fast like a meteorite with the force of 10,000 caddies. Boom! The strong collided, and the air was completely distorted. Qin Yu's whole body suddenly sank into the ground. However, the second heavenly thunder was actually smashed by Qin Yu's punch. It turned into electric snakes that flickered on the surface of Qin Yu's body. The flaming gloves on Qin Yu's right hand were not damaged at all. The third heavenly thunder is just so, Qin Yu said with a smile. With the flaming gloves, Qin Yu's fist could easily deal with the third heavenly thunder. It must be known that Finjiuzi had survived 4 heavenly tribulations with only a low-grade spiritual weapon. Qin Yu had the flaming gloves, so it was normal for him to smash the heavenly thunder with one punch. There is one more heavenly thunder. Once I survive it, I can practice the stellar transformations and be considered a cultivator. Qin Yu raised his head and looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. In his mind, he was thinking about what would happen after he survived the heavenly tribulation. As soon as he thought about practicing the stellar transformations, Qin Yu's heart was slightly excited. The tribulation clouds rolled and thunder rumbled. Then, a purple lightning began to flicker in the tribulation clouds. Suddenly, several blue fire wolves popped their heads out from the edge of the forest to take a look. Xiao Hei's sharp eyes immediately swept over. Those several blue fire wolves were so scared that they immediately shrank back into the forest. Those blue fire wolves really want to be exterminated. Qin Yu casually glanced at them, and then raised his head to look at the tribulation clouds. All of a sudden, a purple lightning shot out from the tribulation clouds. Boom! The wind whistled and the purple lightning zigzagged and flashed. It was as if a purple dragon was swimming down and directly struck towards Qin Yu. This was the last heavenly thunder. After surviving this heavenly thunder, Qin Yu would become a cultivator. Break for me! Qin Yu laughed out loud. The muscles of his entire body suddenly bulged. His fists carried a mountain-breaking aura. Like 2 huge meteorites, they fiercely smashed towards the heavenly thunder. The flaming gloves also emitted a dark red radiance. Boom! With an earth-shaking rumble, the lightning completely collapsed under the attack of the flaming gloves, a middle-grade spiritual weapon. Electric snakes flickered. A head-on collision. Qin Yu's entire body seemed to have been smashed by a hammer. Half of his body sunk into the ground. Qin Yu fiercely shook his head. That violent collision just now caused even Qin Yu to feel a burst of numbness in his fists. There was a sweet taste in his mouth, and a mouthful of blood surged up to his throat. Bang! Qin Yu slapped the ground with one hand, and his entire body flew out. Xiao Hei's playful voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind. Big brother, How was the recoil of the heavenly thunder just now? It was so. Qin Yu forcibly swallowed back that mouthful of blood, but in his heart he cursed. I made a mistake. The impact of the fourth heavenly thunder was much stronger than the third. That recoil not only made my arms numb, but also made the blood in my body boil. Xiaohei flapped his wings and flew to Qin Yu's side in a flash. He cried out in joy. He even used his wings to lightly pat Qin Yu's back to express his congratulations. Big brother, congratulations on also passing the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Xiaohei was very happy for Qin Yu. Well, Xiaohei, you can cultivate by yourself these days. I'm going to go into closed-door cultivation and concentrate on cultivating the stellar transformations. This stellar transformations has 6 stages. Nebula stage is actually the most difficult stage to cultivate at the beginning. Qin Yu said to Xiaohei. Qin Yu had read the stellar transformations secret manual, which also included Lei Wei's description. Qin Yu naturally understood the difficulty of cultivating at the nebula stage. Xiaohei's eagle head nodded. He said to Qin Yu through his holy sense, Big brother, don't worry about cultivating. When you succeed, I'll compete with you to see who's better. Hearing this, Qin Yu couldn't help laughing. Well, when I succeed, I'll definitely compete with you. Then, Qin Yu entered Lei Mountain House. This time, Qin Yu passed the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation very easily. For ordinary people, if they had a low-grade spiritual weapon, their chances of success would be very high. If they had a middle-grade spiritual weapon, there would be almost no danger. The reason why the Hidden Dragon continent had less than 1 in 100 people passing the tribulation successfully was that there were no middle-grade spiritual weapons. That Qinda had a middle-grade spiritual weapon. Even though he was seriously injured by Gumin's sneak attack, he still managed to pass the tribulation in the end. From this, one could see the importance of a middle-grade spiritual weapon. In the training hall, Qin Yu was sitting cross-legged in the center of the silver floor. He was recalling the Stellar Transformations secret manual in his mind. He had cultivated from a child to the present. Finally, he could use the Stellar Transformations to step into the world of Xiationists. Becoming a Xiationist would mean that Qin Yu had entered a new level and a new world. In the future, his opponents would be Xiationists who could fly in the sky and burrow into the ground. Suddenly, Master, the original Master Lei Wei once told me that if you want to cultivate the stellar transformations, you should watch a video first. That way, you'll be more likely to succeed. A kitten appeared out of thin air and spoke to Qin Yu. Oh, video. What other video did Master leave behind? Qin Yu opened his eyes. He was secretly puzzled. Since he had accepted the Stellar Transformations secret manual, he had already regarded Lei Wei as his master. Qin Yu nodded and said, Starlet, let me have a look. Meow. Starlet flicked its tail and disappeared immediately. The entire training hall's walls and floor also became transparent. An image of the universe appeared. The entire training hall was like a space in the universe. The distant stars were burning, the nearby lifeless planets were floating, and there was also a dark starry sky. Suddenly, the image around the training hall suddenly changed. The starry sky of the universe disappeared. A huge nebula appeared in front of Qin Yu's eyes. This nebula was like a huge cloud floating in the universe. At the same time, it slowly rotated, absorbing the energy of the universe and condensing into particles. After countless years, these particles slowly gathered in the center of the rotation. With various changes, a planet was slowly formed. The evolution of the universe. Everything was in front of Qin Yu's eyes. Qin Yu gradually became immersed in these images. At the same time, he recalled the various secret manuals of the Stellar Transformations secret manual. He had a slight understanding in his heart. After an unknown amount of time, the image finally formed a huge star. It emitted scorching flames and had an astonishing amount of energy. Qin Yu suddenly remembers what Finjiuzi told him about the War of Immortals, and what his master Lei Wei left behind after failing to overcome the 9 from 9th Heaven Tribulation. Traversing the boundless universe, experiencing the evolution of the universe. Drifting for thousands of years, passing through countless planets. But today my soul is about to scatter. The heavens are not helping me. The stars are changing. The sun is not the end. What can I do? Everyone on this continent, listen up. Today, I will pass on the 3 diagrams of sky piercing. When someone obtains the 3 diagrams and comprehends their mysteries, they will receive my inheritance. Haha. Misfortune, misfortune. At this moment, Qin Yu completely understood what Lei Wei was thinking. Originally, Lei Wei had the strength to pass the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. However, before the tribulation, he was besieged by several loose immortals, Desheng stage experts, Dujia stage and Kongming stage experts. With so many people besieging him, this Lei Wei was already seriously injured. How could he resist the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation? Therefore, this Lei Wei naturally felt resentful that the heavens were not helping him. The Stellar Transformation's secret manual was extremely powerful. Before Lei Wei had passed the tribulation, he was able to kill Desheng stage experts, loose immortals and Dujia stage experts. After killing so many people, he could still resist the first 8 stages of the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. His strength could be imagined. The power of the Stellar Transformation's secret manual could be imagined. However, the Stellar Transformation's secret manual was different from all other secret manuals in the cultivation world. Once practiced, Qin Yu would have to create the later stages. If he failed, he would suffer from qi deviation, and his soul would scatter. Qin Yu suddenly stood up and laughed. Misfortune? Misfortune. Haha. Misfortune and fortune go hand in hand. Who cares so much? If I were to cower my whole life, and only follow the prescribed order, it would be too boring to cultivate according to the previous manual. Master, you created the first 6 stages. The later stages will be created by me, Qin Yu. So what if I suffer from qi deviation and my soul scatter? Just consider it as paving the way for future disciples. At this moment, Qin Yu's heart was filled with a heroic spirit. Good, let's start cultivating now. Qin Yu calmed down, and then quietly sat down cross-legged to carefully cultivate the stellar transformations. The first stage of the stellar transformations, nebula stage. According to the secret manual, Qin Yu began to mobilize the liquefied purple water in his body. After the 4 from 9th heaven tribulation, the purple true qi completely turned into liquid. Under Qin Yu's control, the purple water droplets in every part of Qin Yu's body began to gather. First, they gathered in his dantian. Immersing his mind in it, he could feel that his dantian was infinitely vast. Qin Yu had never seen other people's dantian, and did not know the difference between his dantian and other people's dantian. He did not care so much, and directly controlled the liquid. His dantian was as boundless as the universe. Hoo-hoo! The liquefied true qi was like streams of water flowing in his dantian, and then began to gather, forming a ball of water. If he cultivated the Jin Dan, he would be able to cultivate like this. However, Qin Yu did not cultivate the Jin Dan. First gather then disperse. Qin Yu clearly remembered the cultivation method in his mind. Just as Qin Yu was about to disperse according to the trajectory, suddenly, a very special force appeared out of thin air in his dantian. Like centrifugal force, it spun in all directions. Naturally, the ball of water was affected. The entire ball of water was affected by the strange centrifugal force, and shattered into pieces, scattering in all directions. Qin Yu immediately broke out in a cold sweat, and his face instantly turned pale. Not good. Qin Yu did not expect that at this juncture, his strange dantian would have such a flaw. It should be known that the most important thing to do, when entering the nebula stage, was to disperse. How to disperse, and how to achieve perfection was very important and absolutely could not be wrong. The rotation of the nebula was the natural way of the universe. Back then, Lei Wei had also comprehended it for a long time before he came up with the method of dispersing. When I was a child, when I cultivated internal strength, this dantian also dispersed my internal strength like this. Now it's the same. Qin Yu was anxious, but he was not worried that his purple liquefied true qi would be lost. Even if it left his dantian, this purple liquefied true qi was still under Qin Yu's control and integrated into his body. However, this purple liquefied true chi was affected by the centrifugal force in his strange dantian. How could he control the trajectory of the nebula? I failed to cultivate internal strength, and now I also failed to cultivate the stellar transformation. This strange dantian is really... Qinyu was anxious. The purple liquefied true chi had already dispersed and left Qinyu's dantian in the form of a mist. Some even rushed out of his body. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.